afternoon. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, or if you're watching me from any social media platform via Facebook or YouTube, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, when I say my show is full today, it's full. In large part because my show has been preempted for the next 2 Thursdays. We have Jackie Robinson Day on Thursday, the 15th, and then we have Earth Day on Thursday, April 22nd. So all those guests had to be kind of shifted into these next few days that I'm on. This is a time when I probably could be on the air 5 days a week and still have not enough space, because we're getting a lot of requests for interviews, which is great because that means people are listening. They're enjoying the interview process. I am fair. I hope pull no punches, and so it's a good thing, right? So it's we have a lot to talk about today, and I have my first guest is at 1:15. So let me run through quickly the things that I want to talk about. Hold on, wait a minute. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is Black Point Breeze Matters. Black community in Point Breeze demands answers. Today, Black Point Breeze Matters, a coalition of African-American residents of the Point Breeze community, will hold a news conference 1 p.m. Tuesday, April 13th at 1420 Point Breeze Avenue. That is today, right now, to demand answers regarding a development proposed for the former site of the local supermarket and the further gentrification of their community. The supermarket and 4 other properties, 1420, 1422, 24, 28, and 32 Point Breeze Avenue, have been demolished by the city to make way for a 5-story, 42-unit luxury market-rate apartment building. The longtime residents are concerned that they have been shut out of the process and have not had any input into this development or the overall redevelopment of the Point Breeze business corridor between the 1200 and 1400 blocks of Point Breeze Avenue. And so that news conference is happening right now. I wanted to get that out of the way, and I will be interviewing folks from this group to find out exactly what has been going on. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is the shooting of the 20-year-old young man in Minneapolis. And I wanted to read this from the Star Tribune. The woman that shot and killed him was Kim Potter, who was a 26-year veteran of the police force in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. And there was an article written by the Star Tribune that says Daunte Wright is the 6th person killed by Brooklyn Center police since 2012. 5 of the 6 were men of color, according to a Star Tribune database of fatal encounters with police. Brooklyn Center police officers have killed 6 civilians since 2012. All but 1 of them were men of color. 4 were black, including 20-year-old Daunte Wright, who died during a routine traffic stop on Sunday afternoon. Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tom Gannon on Monday said it appeared a senior officer meant to deploy her taser and instead fired a single fatal shot from her service pistol in what he described as an accidental discharge. The officer has been identified as Kimberly A. Potter, remains on standard administrative leave. Over the past 2 decades in Minnesota, at least 207 people have died in encounters with law enforcement, according to a Star Tribune analysis. And so I read that, and something else came to mind for me that I saw again on Facebook, and I saved it. So much is going on out here. Let me read this. This struck me. Young woman holding a sign that says, "We live in a world where trained cops can panic and act on impulse, but untrained civilians must remain calm with a gun pointed in their face." And then this same young lady wrote, "When I was 19 years old, I was accused of stealing a $2.49 pack of batteries in a pharmacy. I had my receipt in my book bag, but I could not find it. The police were called, and because I refused to sign a statement admitting to theft and agreeing to never enter the store again, I was arrested for shoplifting. When my mom picked me up from jail 5 hours later and posted my bond, she asked me if I had thought about running from the police when they escorted me out the store. She didn't She didn't understand how I was able to remain so calm before I was handcuffed and put in the back seat of the police car. I'm not sure how, because the truth is I did think about running from the police. I just knew I'd never get away. Anyone who hasn't been arrested, especially for something they didn't do, has no idea of the adrenaline response and fight or flight reflex that happens right before those handcuffs are placed on the wrist of shaking hands that didn't do anything wrong. Think about that the next time you say someone should just comply. I found my receipt in my book bag on the drive home from jail, hired a lawyer to drop the charges, and won a civil lawsuit. But I could have just as easily been a hashtag. And so, good afternoon, Linda Shields. Good afternoon, Diana. Good afternoon. Lots of stuff happening. And so we want to talk about it. And so I'm going to pivot from that into DMX, who recently died from a heart attack from a drug overdose. And when we look at DMX's issues as he was growing up, mother was abusive, dropped him off at her home. You know, she had her boyfriends, was abusive to him, XYZ, XYZ. And so his sister was on YouTube talking about the fact that he found no peace. She couldn't find any peace because she was put in an adoptive home, you know, where people, the Department of Human Services took them, and she said lots of the folks who took them in part-time only took them in for a check, and so he was always going through something insane. I'm going to pivot from DMX and now go over to the fact that we have so much violence in this city of Philadelphia, and I oftentimes wonder, in the middle of this violence, are we missing the young people who have been traumatized until all they can think about is doing the unthinkable, right? So Jacqueline Lee and the 6 ABC digital staff wrote this: nearly a dozen shot in less than 24 hours in Philadelphia. A series of Philadelphia shootings left 11 people shot and 3 have died in less than 24 hours as gun violence continues in the city. A 34-year-old man has died after being shot 3 times in the back of the head and once in the chest Saturday, just before 7:30 p.m. in the city's West Oak Lane section. Some city residents are worried about the sheer number of shootings so far this year. Sometimes I am scared to go outside to play with friends. It is not safe no more, said Rocio Roseo of Germantown. Kareem Singletary of Hunting Park said it's bad, like people are used to it happening every single day. Police reported a double shooting Friday night in the city's Olney section just after 10 p.m. near Front and Champlain streets. Officials say a 20-year-old man was shot and killed, and a 22-year-old man was sent to the hospital and remains in critical condition. About midnight on the 2000 block of West Dolphin Street in North Philadelphia, a 24-year-old man died after getting shot multiple times in the head and upper torso. We are in crisis mode. We have been in crisis mode for the longest time. I know we fuss and complain about the police commissioner, but the God's honest truth is we have been in crisis mode, and the crisis continues. The federal government, President Joe Biden has sent the federal government in here, and so they're trying to do what they can, but we have to go back and think. I mean, really think. We spent a lot of time saying, well, it's not my problem. I moved and I'm living in a great community and I don't have to worry about it and all that, worry about my children. But when you take away the responsibility and the love that a child should be able to get, and then you throw them in the worst kinds of scenarios, right? The person that I'm getting ready to interview in the next 4 minutes is going to be talking about immigrant children who were detained at the border. When we put them in the worst kinds of scenarios and they have no hope, what do you expect out of them? I am not, listen to me very carefully, I am not saying that this is a good thing and that the crime is a good thing, but we can literally stave some of this bleeding that we're having in the city by taking care of our village, which are our children. Most of these things are happening with adults, young adults who felt like they had no hope, and they're out here doing things that they have no business doing. What are we doing about it, right? What are we doing about it? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth today and in the next few days when my show is not preempted. The other thing I want to talk to you about quickly is the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. They're no longer doing the J&J vaccine because the federal government has put a stop on them because people are getting blood clots. And so I just want to make sure that you all are very aware of what that is, the risk-reward calculus of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. And so it's easy to imagine the internal debate. This was written by Philip Bump on the Washington Post, but people like my oldest son who got called and said he gets the Johnson & Johnson vaccine this upcoming Saturday, and he says, Mom, what should I do? I said, 6 people got clots. You're young, but it's happening to young people. I really want you to figure out if you can get a different vaccine if you're going to do this, because I'm not sure. It's not worth it to me to risk your life, you know? And so then this morning, the government said, that's it, we're done. Until we figure out what's going on, they're asking people to no longer deliver the Johnson & Johnson shot. So that's important. Michael, let me know when our first guest is on, please, because they have a hard stop at 1:30, and I want to make sure that that is okay. Philip Bump says, it's easy to imagine the internal debate at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention upon learning that 6 cases of a rare, dangerous blood clot have been found in women who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Allowing the vaccine to be distributed while experts review the case risks of exposing more people to the possible problem. Pausing distribution, though, runs a different risk, potentially reducing confidence in vaccines broadly, even the Pfizer and Moderna versions, which are different techniques for building immunity. It's a difficult choice, but the government has opted for the second option. The CDC and the Food and Drug Administration are recommending that distribution of the vaccine be paused while its effects are studied, and to ensure that the healthcare provider community is aware of the potential for these adverse events and can plan for proper recognition and management due to the unique treatment required. So I don't blame them for doing this, right? We're just going to have to figure it out. The Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium continues to do their testing. This week they are, you know, we talked about this, that Dr. Ayla got us a whole street sign named after her and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium. Let's see, the vaccinations this week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's April 12th, 13th, 15th, 16th, and 17th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Deliverance Evangelistic Church, 2001 West Lehigh Avenue, Philadelphia, 19132, and they're giving the Moderna vaccine. Please also know, even though you must live in the hardest hit zip code and you have to be 1A and 1B, by April 19th, everybody in these United States will be eligible to get a vaccine. So, you know, and I'm having conversations with folks who are saying that they have people who are ready and can't, you know, and that there are places out there with vaccines ready, and they're just, people are not signing up for them. So we've got to do some more work around that. Okay. I hear that we have Miss Warren Binford on the line. So thank you, Madam, for calling in on time. That's what I'm talking about. Let me get in here. Warren Binford is author of Hear My Voice. According to the Marshall Project, over 300,000 children were detained at the United States-Mexico border in 2019, with over 40% of those children held longer than the legally mandated 72-hour limit. Ms. Binford wrote a book, and I want to talk to her quickly about it. Good afternoon. How are you? And welcome to The Source. Ms. Binford, can you hear me?
Ready yet?
She's not quite ready yet. Okay, so then let me just do a little bit more about her. Project Amplify's lead organizer is Warren Binford, an internationally recognized children's rights scholar and advocate. She is on the faculty of the University of Colorado Anschutz School of Medicine, where she holds the W.H. Leah for Justice Endowed Chair in Pediatric Law, Ethics and Policy at the University of Colorado Anschutz School of Medicine. She has provided pro bono legal support to children and families in crisis for more than 20 years, as well as guidance on legislation on public policy. She has published more than 60 academic articles, book chapters, essays, NGO publications, and editorials, and has given hundreds of presentations worldwide, primarily on topics related to children's issues. Warren holds a JD from Harvard Law School and a BA summa cum laude with distinction, and an EDM from Boston University. She lives in Oregon with her family. Miss Warren, are you there now?
Shouldn't be too much longer. Just one second.
Okay. Hear My Voice is the voices of real children detained on the border using children's actual words taken from publicly available court documents. All royalties from the book will go to Project Amplify to support efforts to create legal protections for children in migration who arrive in the United States. All right. I think this is about Here are some of the examples of testimonies that they had. One child said, they lined us up and checked our skin and our hair. Then they checked our birth certificates. That is when they took my sister away from me. Another child says, we are kept in a cage. It's very crowded. There is no room to move without stepping over others. Another child says, I am so hungry that I have woken up in the middle of the night with hunger. Yet another child says, I have been here without bathing for 21 days. Someone else wrote, my baby began vomiting and having diarrhea. I asked to see a doctor and they did not take us. Here, my voice includes a foreword by Michael Garcia Bochenek, Senior Counsel to the Children's Rights Division of Human Rights Watch. Warren is a lawyer and children's rights advocate who has been on the front lines of this issue, puts the detention at the border and in the larger context of immigration reform, and includes resources and discussion questions for readers and their families. Is Ms. Warren with us yet?
No, not quite yet here.
Okay, so I am going to take a quick station break, and then hopefully when we come back, she'll be here, okay? 1 second.
Okay.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still honoring that WURD 10% discount. Give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
The Germantown French School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
I'm Henry Louis Gates Jr. We are people of resilience. No matter what happens, we fight through the pain. We protect our traditions. We uphold our excellence. So let's protect our lives. With vaccines, we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I'm waiting for Warren Binford, who is, wow, her resume speaks for itself. I'm not going to reread it all over again, but she literally has the stories in a book called Hear My Voice of young children who are at the border. Miss Warren, are you there?
How are you?
I am so good. It's so good to hear you. I really wanted to talk to you with a little bit of time that we had. Can you describe to us why thank you first of all for joining us on The Source. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. Can you explain to us why this book was important and what made you decide that you wanted to put it out at this time?
Yeah, so basically, Andrea, what happened is that I am a children's rights scholar and advocate who was sent down to the border facilities on the U.S.'s southern border to interview the children and inspect the facilities and make sure that their rights were being respected over the last few years. And I was horrified at some of the things that I discovered, and I especially was horrified because, during the time that I was doing these visits, the conditions were getting worse before my very eyes, and children started to die. And approximately 7 children that we knew about died in the year leading up to June 2019, and that was the month that we walked into the Clint Border Patrol facility and discovered over 350 children who were being kept in a warehouse, a loading dock, tents out in the desert, and overcrowded jail cells by the U.S. government. And we met with the children and found out that there was widespread illness in the facility, that there was a lice infestation, the children were crying, they were neglected, they were dirty, they were not being fed properly, they were not being fed enough, and they were absolutely in a state of trauma. And so we went to the public and told the public what was going on. And in response, the very highest levels of government started a whitewash campaign to try and say that what we were saying wasn't true, and that, you know, we were making all of this up and that this was just fake news. And so we created a nonprofit called Project Amplify. That sole purpose was to make the children's sworn testimonies publicly available so that the American public could read for themselves what the children were describing about how they were being treated by government employees. And then we called on the American public. It was an almost all volunteer organization, and we called upon the American public to read the children's declarations and find ways to get the children's stories out there. And this children's book is one of those initiatives.
How can people find the children's book before we have to get off? Because I know you have a limited amount of time. So tell us how we can find the book, buy the book, where can we buy it, and what is the cost, please?
Okay. So the children's book is written entirely from the children's own words, and so it's a children's book written by the children at the border. It is available everywhere. So if you just Google Hear My Voice, you will see it on Amazon. You will see it on Barnes & Noble. It's sold at Walmart and Target, at your indie bookstore. Please support your indie bookstores. You can go to projectamplify.org and read about it there, and click on a link to order it there. It is $19.95. We're encouraging people to buy 10 copies, give them to your friends, give them to your family members. It is a book that can really be used to educate people about the truth of what's happening with taxpayer money at the border.
Are any of the funding going towards the children themselves, helping them to get what they need? And what has since happened to those children since you've, because, you know, more are coming in alarming numbers, right? Since President Biden became the president of the country. And we get it. We understand what's happening there, because the conditions often in their countries are untenable, and the parents are sending them. Knowing what you know now, what would you advise parents, A, and B, what has since happened to the children that you met in 2019? Are you aware?
Well, so a couple of things. One is we don't normally keep track of the children once they leave. You know, there are a few children that have tracked us down and, you know, tried to connect, and they are trying to recover from the trauma that they experienced, and the families are trying to cope with what this means about living in America, that their children could be subjected to this kind of mistreatment at the hands of government employees. You know, as far as, you know, what's going on now, it's really, really important for everyone to understand that a lot of the children who are coming to the United States right now, they were already here. That part of this is a backlog that was created by not letting children in and telling them they needed to remain in Mexico under the Trump administration. And so now that the Biden administration has said that we're going to try and orderly process the children, there is a backlog that I predicted, and you know, and I know other people who work on the border predicted. Once you start to let people back in again, it's going to be, at least initially, overwhelming. So none of this is a surprise, but it's a reminder that we need to change our border management policies and practices, because more of the people who are arriving to the United States are children. The overall numbers aren't that high, but because of the changing demographics and the fact that we haven't adapted our system to process children, that's the nature of the crisis.
Got you. Thank you so much. You know what I'd like to do, because I know you have such limited time, I'd like to be able to bring you back so we can have a more in-depth conversation. And what I'd love to do is have some children that were born and raised here in these United States join that conversation with us so we can talk about what that looks like from both angles, because trauma in any form, you know, needs to be addressed. And oftentimes those young children end up in schools with the children that were born and raised here, and we need a little bit more empathy and understanding, right? So the book is called Hear My Voice. It can be found on any platform, anywhere, literally, or you can go to projectamplify.org. Thank you so much. I love your name, Warren Binford. I love your name. Love your name. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to speaking with you through your people again soon, okay?
Thank you, Andrea. I would love that.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye. All right, coming up next is our, Michael, let him in for me, please, so that we can begin the conversation, because I haven't spoken to him in a couple of weeks. You know, there's so much going on, And I had put up a post on Facebook this morning that between the violence that continues to happen in Minneapolis, the Derek Chauvin trial, the extreme violence that we continue to have in the city with 11 shot and 3 dead over the last 48 hours. Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, first of all, I need you to start praying for my soul, because, and I say this to you every time I talk to you. Can you hear me, sir?
Mm-hmm. I hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
because it is so much for us to take in all of this. We're reporting the news, but it is, you know, we tend to forget as reporters that we are human beings too, and we are mothers and fathers with children. Where would you like to start, sir? Because I haven't spoken to you in a couple of weeks. Missed you, by the way. So what's going on that we need to know about in the city?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, and thank you for continuing to keep our community informed. A couple of things. I want everybody to know that tonight at 7 p.m., I have Keir Bradford and Tariq Shabazz. They're going to be basically doing my Bible study. My Bible study tonight is going to be a discussion of how to manage our expectations around the Derek Chauvin trial. I think we got to get ahead of this verdict, not because I'm cautiously optimistic that he is going to be found guilty, but found guilty of what, and do we understand it? And so tonight I have Keir Bradford and Tariq Shabazz just coming on to talk about just that from a legal perspective.
Right.
I mean, I'm a preacher. I'm not a lawyer. Right. I'm a black man that saw this white man kill this man. I want him to go to jail forever. That probably is not going to happen.
Right.
And so we need to manage our expectations, know what justice is in this moment from a legal perspective, and what should we expect? What should we accept? What should we not accept, and on what grounds? So that's a discussion that we're having tonight. And that'll be on all of our platforms as Facebook, my Facebook, the church's Facebook, church's live stream, YouTube. And I'm looking forward to that conversation. And mixed into it, it's an opportunity for us to model how we get along across our religious differences, because we're in Ramadan, and Tariq is going to have to break about 7:38 to go close out his Ramadan. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to model something, because right now we as Black Christians and Black Muslims, we don't have time for holy wars. There's too much going on in the community, and we need to model how we work together. And all of us know Keir Bradford. I mean, just she's the queen. And so we don't need to hear from me. I'm not a lawyer, and we don't need to hear from people in their opinions. I want to talk about what legally is going on. I'd like to understand from Keir and from Tariq, why did they fight so hard to get third degree in there? And is there something we should read into that? And is there strategy behind that? And how do we stomach listening to the defense lawyer make his arguments? And how should we understand him as an individual? And so that's that piece.
Right. I want to thank you for that, because I had two lawyers on, two brothers from New York, who began giving us that conversation. They said, listen, the laws are very different. There's some laws that are the same federally, but there's some laws that are incredibly different depending on the state that you live in.
That's
and in Minneapolis, second-degree murder, the highest charge that he's being charged with, only gives you a certain amount of years in prison, right? So people need to recognize that this is not going to be a lifetime thing. So I love the fact that you have someone like Keir Bradford Gray on. I don't know the other gentleman, Tariq Shabazz. I probably should know. But you have.
You remember he ran for DA. He and I did the play.
Then I know who Tariq Shabazz is. Okay, see, all right, okay, all right, all right.
He and
so
I did
then
the play, the meeting.
Yes. And so it's good that you have people on from different parts of the spectrum that folks can trust. This is what I say to community leaders all the time. When you get into these positions, don't just sit in them. Learn how to mingle with the community and get to understand them. And Keir Bradford Gray and Tariq have both done that, right? And so people are going to trust whatever their voices are this afternoon. So that's great. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to join that conversation. What else is going on? Because the violence in this city is...
You know, I've been working on something, not working on something. I've been working on how to say something. And that is, you know, we have to accept the fact that this violence is so bad that it's going to take a multidisciplinary approach. It's going to take, and it's something I'm beginning to call SEEP, S-E-E-P, SEEP, spirituality, education, economics, and policing, in that order. Spirituality says that, you know, we who are spiritual people in the churches and the mosques, we have to grab hold of our kids. And when we say that, someone will hear, well, what about the other kids? Well, first of all, everybody grab your kids. First strategy, everybody grab the sphere of influence that you have. I have influence on a certain group of children, and the mosque has some, and there are some that neither of us have, and the rec center has, and so forth. So we begin with spirituality and addressing things like recreation in the community. But then there's education, but education is a long-term strategy. You need to understand all this money that's coming down to help fix the schools. That's not going to change the violence next week. That's going to change the violence in 2 years. So education is a piece of it. But then there's economics. With this money that's coming down, we need to employ as many of our young people in summer jobs and opportunities as possible. And then I'm going to say something that the police can't say, and I'm going to hope that people hear me and trust my heart, because we're also going to have policing. If you remember Joe Clark up in Paterson, New Jersey.
I do remember him.
And you remember the movie. You know, at some point, we're going to have to accept the fact that with all of these other strategies, there's also going to have to be a sweep. We all know that a lot of this violence is done by a very small part of our community. It's not like all of our kids are gone, it's a small part. And at some point, we're going to have to allow police to do policing like cops on spots. Now, Danielle Outlaw is not going to be allowed to say that, and police officers are not going to be allowed to say it. And there may be somebody listening to me right now that doesn't like that I will say that. But included in these, and notice I put that one last. We got to talk about spirituality. We got to talk about education and economics. But we also, at some point, are going to have to allow for the fact that the police are going to have to sweep through and pick some people up. Now, what's true and what's real is some innocent people are going to get caught up in that. And that's where the Keir Bradfords and the Tariqs and all of the Black people who are involved in the law enforcement and in our legal system are going to help us parse out who should not have been picked up or who should not have been touched and all of that. And I know it's dangerous what I'm saying, but what we have to accept is that it's multidisciplinary. It's us in the church doing our part. It's the mosque doing their part. It's us praying. I believe that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray. But I believe that if you have an uneducated populace and if you have a poor populace, if we don't get jobs on opportunities for kids to play in sports and get in games and so forth, All of it is a part of it. Then also policing. There must be, in any faithful culture, taboo and boundaries at some point. And that's dangerous conversation. And I'm willing to take some critique on that. But first, spirituality, second, education, third, economics. Then we've got to have proper policing. And so I hope that we will begin to have those conversations. I believe a lot of people are having them. I said Sunday, I'm really not interested in being on a lot of panels. And quite frankly, because everybody on a panel is right from their perspective.
Yes.
You know, because you only know what you know. And you can only do what you can do. And I think we all are going to have to respect each other's lane and know that no one thing. The churches by themselves are not going to fix it. This money coming down from Joe Biden by itself is not going to fix it. Policing alone is not going to fix it. But all of these pieces together, and we're going to make some headway.
Yeah. Part of this for me, as I am listening to you talk, is this. We have to start really giving a diggity darn about our babies. Right? A lot of what we see happening out here are children who have been ignored, abused, because family members, for whatever reason, were not able to do it, or, you know, just the trauma, the epigenetics, the trauma that continues. I'm learning that more and more. The trauma that consistently passes down generation to generation. And we look at certain families, and we have to be very mindful about the judgments, right? So while all of these other pieces are happening, I also want us to wrap our arms around the children. That we can continue to wrap our arms around now before they get lost to this, because I am interviewing so many young people in middle school and high school right here in the city of Philadelphia, and they're telling me things like they see the friends that they're losing, right? Things are happening. They have their parents at home holding on to them, keeping them inside the house, but what about the ones who don't have that? How do we step in as a community to support them, and how do we not sit around and wait for others to do it when we can step in our own small way to do it ourselves? Does that make sense? Right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm very concerned about what I see unfolding. So I really want to, as we're doing all of this, and you're right, there needs to be some policing. And quite frankly, let me just get really into it with you. I've been working with police officers for over 2 decades. And one of the things that I have been doing with them is having conversations around their mental and emotional state of being, right? Right now, nobody really likes them. They know who the ones are amongst their peers that are not doing the work. They're traumatized. Their divorce rates are up there. You know, their family lives are a mess. They tell me, they said, we have to look at people being shot and killed or their heads being blown off. And then we have to go back and act as if nothing is happening, right? So we have to start treating law enforcement as if they're human beings too. So when we're talking about having them round up people, we also at some level need to come around the backside and work with them, right? Around the things that they're dealing with, because I've had conversations with police officers that said, listen, I know who the crazy ones are in the department, right? But we just don't know how to rustle them out. And what's getting ready to happen, I think, as a direct result of Derek Chauvin and all the other things that have happened over the last few years, is that policing is going to shift and change, but we still need them. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I've always said is I am a frustrated police officer. If I were not clergy, I would want to be a police officer. And I mean that. Before all of this happened, at Enon, we had a celebration of police officers every year. We would have a banquet where we celebrate who they are. I believe that more of them are good than are bad. And you're right. We need to love on them. And celebrate them and recognize that it's hard to watch the backside of humanity all day long and then come
and not
home
be impacted by it. Absolutely.
Impacted by that. And so we have to be able to, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time, challenge the bad, but also lift up the good. I have always been involved in some level of chaplaincy with law enforcement. I like having badges. I got more badges than police officers because I love the profession. In fact, I am a sworn police officer with the Enon Tabernacle Private Police Under the private detectives code in PA, the same way that Temple University can have police officers, Enon has police officers. And I got a crew of them that are trained and are sworn. And we have police powers at 2800 Cheltenham, 230 West Coulter, and anywhere Enon is holding an event. And I did that for a couple of reasons. Number one, I wanted a badge. But number two, I want to be able to sit in the middle of a conversation with the police and the community. I would hope that after 27 years in Philadelphia, when I say police are going to have to round somebody up, the community hears my heart even more than they hear my words.
Yes.
And after 27 years, if they don't, I don't know what I can do for the person that's still going to critique. I don't know.
Right.
But also, I want to sit in the room with police officers and say, you know, that person out there hollering right now, they're not really crazy.
Yes.
You need to understand there's a whole lot of sense. Let me interpret for you.
Right.
What defund means. Let me help you understand what that is. And please know that I am as much them as they are.
Right.
And that's my goal in this, because some of us who have opportunity to sit in seats need to make sure we don't lose the passion of the streets. And some of us who sit in seats and get back to the streets have to make sure that we carry the truth from the seats as well.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about this trial, what's happening in terms of the vaccinations, and et cetera, et cetera. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to WURDradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
Okay, Purr's new fire potato chips and cheese curls, they are spicy. Whew, they're hottest snacks yet, hold on. Whew, but you know, it's not just heat. There's some nice sweet and savory stuff going on too. Ooh, there's that heat again. It burns, but it burns so tasty. Ooh, that's hot. Find Hers Fire Snacks at your store today. Whew, taste the flavor, feel the heat, break out the Hers.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy.
This is pandemic time, a time to think about many things like I felt when President Obama was in charge, our 44th president. You did a real good job, and we thank you very much. Memories are good. Right now, President Obama is mourning the death of his grandmother, Mama Sarah. He calls her Granny. We mourn with you, President Obama, you and your family. Somehow, a miracle is taking place. Do you recognize that miracle, Obama? Well, here's one. Grandma Sarah lived to see her grandchild become a president of the United States. I believe in miracles. Kawesa could sing that song. I bet you Kawesa could sing that song. I believe in miracles. Thank you, God, for the blessing.
Want the latest in WURD swag? Check out the shop tab on WURDradio.com. Hoodies, tees, and more in a variety of colors. The shop tab on WURDradio.com. Show the world that you're all about black. Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I have on the line with me the Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, pastor of Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia. He and I have been talking now for months every Tuesday. And it's funny that you say this, Pastor Waller, because I'm telling you, you come on Tuesday, you and I ham it up, and you get off the line and they're like, well, he didn't do this for this community, and he didn't. And I'm like, all right, listen. We got to make sure that you understand that he's doing where he has his levels of power to do what he can. And so every time I talk to you, I remember you saying, if you're in the public eye, you're going to be in the public's mouth. So I think you take all of this in stride and you don't worry so much about it. Someone called in and asked this question. Do we think that a curfew would help to make a difference here with all the violence that's going on?
I don't think so.
Tell us why.
I think that because things are so hot that just inflicting curfew, even curfews tend to have a gasoline effect on already traumatic experiences, already emotional experiences. They tend to blow things up. I think that there probably needs to be some curfew from a parental perspective. What was interesting to me when Mike Nutter had his curfew, what was funny to me, everybody got mad at it. And I started thinking about when I grew up, Mike Nutter's curfew was later than my mama's curfew.
Listen.
My mother's curfew was when them street lights come on.
Come on now. At least you got that. I had to be home before the sun went down. Street lights.
Got you. Right. Street lights.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So no, I think some of the data suggests that when we move closer to that type of behavior, it's like pouring gasoline on already an emotionally charged experience. So I'm not so sure that the curfew thing
would work
is an answer. And I say that with an understanding that there is no silver bullet to any of this.
Right.
Meaning, as long as we keep saying, if we do this, will it stop?
Right.
There is no this. And that's why I was talking about SEEP. There's going to have to be a piece that we as clergy and imams play. There's going to have to be a piece that the schools play. There's going to have to be a piece that some real job opportunities that put children back in communities. I was thinking about one of the jobs that I had during the summer in Cleveland, and that was cleaning streets. And, there's something about cleaning a street that makes you want to keep that street clean. There's something about cleaning a neighborhood, getting paid for it, that makes you want to have a bit more pride in that particular piece of real estate. Now, granted, I'm talking 40 years ago, times have changed, and we who are our age need to be real careful how we project on to this generation. But I do believe that there's something inherently humanizing about work and earning dollars. And then, of course, the repercussions for actions.
Absolutely.
Which means policing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to pivot because we have 5 minutes left. Let's talk about this election that's coming up that nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been interviewing the judges. We have a district attorney's race. We have a city controller race coming up. We talk about the importance of election. What am I missing? Why is it so difficult to get people to really embrace the fact that their voices and their votes count? If nothing else mattered in these last few months, it's been that our voices actually counted, right? We were able to change things so much from voting that the Republicans are changing the laws, the voting laws, right?
And that's important for us to point out. The Republicans now are what you see in Georgia and Texas, they're trying to do in Pennsylvania. They just can't right now because we have a governor who is a Democrat, and we've got the right people, and we've got right people in strategic places. But if we were to lose that, this could become Georgia. And if we were to change, and if we don't pay attention to the judges, this thing is now about who sits on the bench one of the challenges is that we tend only to focus on elections where the big seats are up, the governor's seat, the mayor's seat. But we need to be paying attention to judges. One sad reality of Philadelphia, because we're such a Democrat-run city, and I am a Democrat, we tend to not pay as much attention to primaries.
Yes.
And that's a challenge for us.
Yeah.
I think people need to know who's running for judge. We've got an opportunity right now with some Black women running for seats. I think we've got someone running, was that Lori Dumas?
Yes, interviewed her.
Yeah, and you know, to have a Black person in at all, and a Black woman sit on the highest seat in the land in the state, that is important. And so I think it's important for us to continue to talk about it, and to make it normative.
Yes.
You know, so making it normative means that it has to be a regular part of what I preach. A regular part of what you talk about.
Yep. Every show we talk about it. Every show we interview a judge. Every show we talk about the elections. Yesterday, I talked about even the retention of judges, right? Some judges need to be booted off the bench, but you won't know if you don't talk, if you don't go look at who's there, what their record is, and how you can, you know, judges don't just automatically get retained. They get retained because nobody votes to push them out, right? Those things are very important.
And we need to know, even like in Montgomery County, there's Nicole Phillips.
I interviewed her too. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm on it. Yes.
Nicole Phillips. And we in Philly need to understand that the implications of who sits in seats out there is important. So understanding who's running, understanding who's where, and you know, the big ticket items are coming up shortly, and that is we've got a Senate race, not now, but the Senate race. And so, you know, Malcolm.
It's what is it, 22, 23, that it is 23?
22.
20, so that's a year from now.
That's
there's like, I just saw that Sharif Street just jumped into the race. Fetterman is in the race. Malcolm Kenyatta is in the race.
Malcolm Kenyatta.
Yes.
Then there's the guy Fetterman from the West.
Yep. Valerie Arcouche, I hear, is getting ready. Yes.
And so all of this is going to have to be talked about, and we're going to have to weigh out, and good, robust conversations.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yep.
It's good, and that's
I'm on it.
You're responsible. You know, it's your responsibility to make sure we know about the stuff. It's our, and meaning we as preachers. It's not my responsibility to tell people who to vote for.
Right.
But it is my responsibility to preach about issues and talk about things, and that will then allow people to match up, people who listen to me, and I don't think everybody does. And I think that's the thing all of us need to remember. None of us is the answer
to everything.
All of us are the answer. I have a relative influence in the northwest section of the city. And that's my parish. But there's a whole other city outside of the northwest.
The northwest, absolutely.
And all I can do is what I do in the northwest. There are others, and all of us need to just do our part and lock arms with other people who are doing their part. But just make sure that everybody does something.
Come on now. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller from the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. I will join you at 7 p.m. tonight. And hope others join you to listen to what Keir Bradford Gray and Tariq Shabazz has to say about the trial and what our expectations should be. Have a good afternoon, sir. I'll see you next Tuesday, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
There it is.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right, bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM. Rick from Germany, I'm going to take you shortly after I come back from break. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I have some fabulous little guests coming up at the 2 o'clock hour. I'm so looking forward to talking to them. I want you to see what is possible with our young people. And I keep doing this on purpose, because I don't want us to keep writing off our young people and calling them thugs and whatever else, because there's so much brilliance inside of them. We will be right back after these messages.
The Black Words Book Club. Word Radio's new monthly conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. For April, Word Radio is partnering with the Free Library of Philadelphia and showcasing their pick for its annual citywide reading program, One Book, One Philadelphia, entitled The Tradition by Jericho Brown. Be sure to listen live, as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it. Tuesday, April 13th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for Word members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
If you understand the value of doing business with a company that values its clients, remember this name: Heat and Air Guys. At Heat and Air Guys, we give our clients extra value by offering lots of ways to make their lives easier, like financing for your installation. You get 18 months, no interest, no payments, 10-year parts and labor warranties, service on all makes and models, seasonal tune-ups, all offered by skilled, reliable technicians who value the opportunity to be of service to you. Call Heat and Air Guys at 610-583-3207.
You probably heard it before, but one of the best ways to stay safe from COVID is by avoiding crowds. That's better. Also, when you're out in public, make sure you stay 6 feet away from strangers or people you don't live with. It's okay to say, "Can I have some space, please?"
Well, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day today, and we can expect much.
If you're gonna have a get-together with friends and family, have it outside. And remember to keep those 6 feet of social distance. And last but not least, wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth with no gaps. They slow the spread of COVID or new forms of the virus called variants. And make sure you get your vaccine when it's your turn. We're all out here trying our best, and it's making a difference. We just gotta keep it up. We can do this.
To learn more about slowing the spread, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Listening to the Streets brings together young men to create street-level solutions to gun violence. Participants receive a $240 stipend, and if they attend 8 sessions, they're guaranteed a job offer. Man Up PHL and WURD want to end gun violence. Listening to the Streets is a step. Interested? Call 267-748-7818. That's 267-748-7818. Or email us at info@manupPHL.org.
This is Word Radio. 96.1 FM. And 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on Word Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the Word Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're joining me on social media, you can see these beautiful students. I think this is a superintendent. Let me just make sure. Yep. Superintendent of Alexandria City Public Schools, and Deborah Keys Wright. Before I take them, though, because I can't wait to have this conversation, I am going, look at their beautiful faces. I can't stand it. I love young people. Let me take Rick from Germany. Rick, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, sir. What's going on, my brother?
I heard you mention DMX.
Yes.
And I heard also over the weekend Dr. Umar Johnson suggest that DMX, Cicely Tyson, Marvin Hagler, and Hank Aaron all died after taking the vaccine. Some form
he did
of
not
the
say.
vaccine.
He said, okay, I can't take that on, Rick. Okay, you're going to have to call him over back so you and I can have an in-depth conversation. He said that?
He said that on Brother Barnes' show. David Barnes. And I'm thinking of taking the vaccine myself, and I have underlying conditions, but I'm very afraid, and I have seniors in my household.
Yeah. So can I say this to you, Rick? I mean, you've called here, you've listened to this show. I have been incredibly transparent with all of you, and I have said that had it not been for Dr. Ayla Stanford, I probably would not have, excuse me, not have taken the vaccine. Okay, what is going on with my throat? Hold on. Mother's choking. Wow, hold on. Please forgive me. I'm not sure what's going on with my throat. You know, this is what happens when you do live radio. Anything is liable to happen in these recorded streets. Excuse me. Something went straight down my throat, my windpipe. It caused an issue for me. So, Rick, are you still there?
I'm still here, sister.
My apologies, my brother. I'm not sure what's going on with my throat, except to say we have had people working in our basement and all sorts of things are floating up. This is probably that. I would not have taken this vaccine, excuse me, had it not been for Dr. Ayla Stanford and her transparency. And I did my research. I told people that I did not want to force anyone to take the vaccine themselves, but you also heard me say this. I have underlying conditions. In my DNA is hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, all sorts of other things, right? And so I had to weigh the options. When I took my vaccine, I had an immune response. It was a little bit of achiness. The first vaccine was fine. The second one was a little bit of achiness. What I don't want to see happen is us not take the vaccine at all, and then we have even worse conditions, right? Because we have underlying conditions in our community and in our families. What I'm also noticing is that people are getting very complacent. They've gotten the vaccine and they've gone out, la-di-da-di and everybody. Nobody's doing what they're supposed to do. They're not wearing their masks. And so people are getting the virus. It's not killing them because the vaccine prevents them from dying from the virus or having really bad reactions to the virus itself. So it's totally up to you, my brother. But I want to make sure that, thank you, Gloria, it's something. Because I have not been coughing like this and I can't tell you how long. I want to make sure that you make the best decisions for yourself. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is take everything we all say to you to a grain of salt. Do your own research. Does that make sense, my brother?
That makes sense. And I have searched between the three vaccines that are available here in Germany. And I've decided against AstraZeneca, and I hope to get something from Pfizer myself.
Okay, all right. So then, so call and let me know what your end result was, what you decided to do. My oldest son was told that he should come and get the J&J, and he texted me and said, "Don't you dare! The government just pulled it." Until further notice, right? So I don't know if that's reached where he is because he's in Texas, but everybody's trying to do their research to find out what's the best one. And quite frankly, for us as African Americans, we always just want the one shot. If we're going to take a shot, we just want the one. But something is going on with the Johnson & Johnson, so we want to be careful. Okay?
If I am still alive on Monday when you come on air, I will call you and let you know how it went.
Please do. Please do. All right. Thank you so much, my brother.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take it easy, my brother. It is important that we listen to people when they call in. He's telling us that he's hearing conflicting things. I am not arguing with him about the confliction that he's hearing. What I am doing is encouraging him to do his own research and figure out what that looks like for him. So I'm glad that he actually called in to talk about it. Thank you, Michael. I got it. All right. So listen, I have got to go over now. Please forgive me for all the coughing in your ears, but this segment, it's going to be historical and is so relevant to what's happening in this racially divided country. During this segment, the guest will be Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins, Jr., Superintendent for Alexandria City Public Schools in Alexandria, Virginia, and 2 students who have been instrumental in changing the name of the infamous T.C. Williams High School, named after the segregationist T.C. Williams. They will share with your audience the process they went through, support and pushback received. I cannot wait to get the board to agree to change the name. And as you may recall, there was a movie produced about this high school, Return of the Titans, and the racist events associated with it. Woohoo! Deborah Keys Wright, Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins, and Lorraine Johnson and Ashley Sanchez. I can't see you, Viafara. Did I get that right? Okay, I just want to make sure. Good afternoon to all of you.
Good afternoon.
I'm so excited. So please forgive me. Please forgive me. I don't know where that coughing fit came from, but this is live radio, so I just had to cough and do it as gracefully as I could possibly do it in these Wakandan streets. Welcome to The Source. Students, when Deborah called me, when Miss Keys Wright called me and said that there were students coming on, what did I do, Deborah? I was so excited.
Yes, she really was.
I love young people. We talk a lot. We air here in Philadelphia, and we talk a lot about what's wrong with our students in society, and we don't talk enough about what's right about our students in society. So I always take every opportunity that I can to highlight you, love upon you, and remind you that without you, we don't have a future. You are our village at this point. We old now. We old and tired. Right, Dr. Hutchins?
I'm like, maybe so. I'm not yet there. I'm not there yet.
So, Deborah, I'm going to let you start to talk a little bit about this school, and then I'm going to ask Dr. Hutchins to join in, and then I'm going to ask Ashley and Lorraine to tell us how did they do this, because you're going to now inspire a whole group of young people who have been trying to get things like police out of their schools and, being disciplined in ways that is just not fair. And so they're learning from you. They're going to learn from you today. So Deborah, take it away.
Yeah, and I'm going to yield most of my time to these students and Dr. Hutchins because, you and I talk every week. We were kind of pushed on Tuesdays. I usually have Thursday. That's why I have my little man in the back who refuses not to be in my presence. But we live in this space as far as talking about equity, racial equity. And I work, of course, directly with the school board and the superintendent. And I always say we have to start making sure we have student voice because they are the ones who will tell us what we need to do as adults. And, I had an opportunity to actually live across the street from T.C. Williams, which is no longer T.C. Williams High School, for 2 or 3 years when I was in Alexandria. And I know Dr. Hutchins from several years ago when he was actually in Ohio, too. And so I'm just so pleased to have these students here. When we were finally able, working closely with Julia, making this happen, I was so excited because I know how you feel, Andrea, the way I do about students. Everything we do, the end result is what does it have to do with supporting student success? If it's about what adults need, we have very little patience for that. And so I'm going to yield my time so the students can share their story along with Dr. Hutchins.
All right. Thank you so much. This is our livelihood segment that we do every single, it's Thursday, it's Tuesday today, on race and equity. And it's very important to me for the students, Ashley and Lorraine. I am not just a radio show host. I literally have been doing this racial equity work for almost 3 decades, right? Working with educators, with students, with families, and with police officers. And so Dr. Gregory Hutchins, Jr., tell us about your school that is no longer called T.C. Williams, and how did that happen? And introduce these 2 fabulous ladies to me, please.
Yes, let me tell you, and they both are fabulous. Miss Ashley, Miss Lorraine are, I call the epitome of what we want students in Alexandria City Public Schools to be. They currently serve on our school board as our student representatives.
Come on.
And we wanted to make sure, as we got petitions about the name Thomas Chambers Williams, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm also a graduate of T.C. Williams. So I graduated in the class of 95, and there was word on the street at the time when I was a student that Thomas Chambers Williams was a racist, but we didn't have the internet and Google. So we thought it was maybe like a myth or, you know, was it like real? Did it really happen? Because nobody would ever confirm that was the truth. And I am so glad that, you know, our students, as they heard from our community who did a petition to want to change the name, that we said our kids need to lead. Our kids need to lead this effort. We need to hear their voices. We had heard from so many community members around what Black and brown children felt about walking into TC Williams. And my question was always, have you spoken to our Black and brown children to know how they feel? I said, so let them actually take a stand and be able to dismantle, one, the systemic racism, and to understand how it feels to walk into a school building when you know that the former superintendent did not want Black and brown children to be around their white counterparts. So that is why Miss Lorraine and Miss Ashley are doing or did a phenomenal job and still doing a phenomenal job in making this transition and taking this on.
Right. So ladies, welcome to The Source. I have been around young people now for as long as I can remember, from I was knee-high to a grasshopper, been a part of mentoring programs with them, and I know leaders when I see them. Tell me, how did you get involved? Were you already on the school board as a school board student rep when you decided to take on this project of having this school renamed? Because we know that people get very tied to their little names and rituals and things, you know. So were you school board reps at the time that you decided to take on this renaming of the school? And walk us through the process of what happened with you, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I can kind of speak on that. Actually, this whole renaming process happened way before me and Ashley's time. The students have been talking about renaming the high school way before our class, and the conversation kind of, when I was in 10th grade, I joined the Black Student Union, and for Black History Month, I did a lecture series on TC Williams and how much he did to make sure Alexandria stayed segregated. And in that lecture series, many students came like out of class to see it. And we had like about an hour and a half deep conversation about the name. And I think from there, I started like hearing more about changing the name. And then COVID happened, and we felt like it was the perfect time because students weren't in school and we could find time to really prioritize some of the things that we needed to fix in Alexandria. And the name change was on top of that for other students.
So you were brilliant in that you decided to do the lecture series on him. So you opened up the hearts and minds of folks so that they could see, you know, who this person was, that you weren't just trying to rename the school. So you took what was already being done and added to it. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. So you, and so, because usually for Black History Month, they'll say, well, we're going to bring this Black person and talk about that Black person. You talk about a white man, what the school was named after. You pulled them in. That was brilliant. You pulled them in. They got there and you said, so let me just tell you a little bit about this man right here. Right. And so that happened. So now, Ashley, let me ask you this. Once they came to the lecture series and COVID happened, how did you then move forward? And when you started talking about renaming the school again, because apparently this has been going on for years, what was some of the pushback that you received, and what was some of the support that you received?
Yeah, I can speak on that. Like Lorraine mentioned, in what she said, a lot of people have been asking for the renaming of TC Williams, who's named after Thomas Chambliss Williams. So from the NAACP chapter here in Alexandria, to community members, to alumni, to students, we've been all asking for the renaming. And Lorraine, I did not start in BSU. I'm currently in BSU now, but I did not start in BSU until later in my high school career, but I started in MSAN, which Lorraine is also part of.
What is MSAN?
It's the Minority Student Achievement Network, and it's a coalition of students that work on creating action plans and policies to bring back to their school division to address issues from opportunity gaps to racial inequity to having more culturally responsive classrooms, to things of those sort, in order to create a more inclusive space for everyone. And so I started there, and that's when I truly started engaging in racial equity work and just social justice work, and that's for me, that translated into doing research on my community. So doing research on my school division. So I am currently writing like a dissertation on how racial inequity.
Excuse me, ma'am. Are you in high school?
Yeah, I'm in high school.
Look at here. Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins, open up your camera for me, please. Did she just tell me she's writing a whole dissertation? Did she just say she's writing a dissertation?
Yes, she did. She's one of our honor students. That's right.
About to make me speak in tongues over here. Listen, I love these young people. So you're writing a whole dissertation on your community and what happened there. Let me ask you this, and I'm asking all of you this. This has been going on for a while, right? If the NAACP has been knocking on the door, if the community members have been knocking on the door, if Dr. Hutchins was a student there and they've been talking about this since 1995, I'm way older than you, by the way. That's why you don't feel so old. Why did it take so long? Why did it take so long when history and data showed that this was a segregationist and someone who was racist, right? The second thing was, what is the racial makeup of this school district? I have an idea just based on what I'm hearing.
So the racial makeup it's almost a third of Black. And when we say Black, we're not talking specifically about African American. We're talking about our Black Caribbean students, our Black Hispanic students. We also have about 30% Hispanic and about 30% white in our community. We have students who are from 119 different countries in Alexandria City Public Schools. So we are like one of the most diverse school systems in the country, especially in the Northern Virginia, in the Northern region. So we're predominantly Black and brown school system, and that is a misnomer because our city is predominantly white and also one of the richest cities in the country. However, let me tell you, our school system is 61% free and reduced lunch. And a lot of people are shocked when they hear that because you can't afford to live in Alexandria. It's so expensive.
I'm telling you.
You know, it's an expensive city. But majority of our students, they are eligible for free and reduced lunch, 61%. So we have some very, very unique demographics. But in spite of that, we are still making sure that, you know, you asked about why now. We have a board that unanimously wanted to ensure that we're living up to our strategic planning goals and that, you know, we made racial equity the heart of our work. And that was something that the board wanted. You have an African-American superintendent who's proud to be African-American and who is unapologetic about being African-American and speaking the truth. And I think that I'm going to do everything to empower our young people and to be that example and to get out of their way so that this will not continue to be a cycle of oppression that unfortunately has such a negative impact on our Black and brown children that it continues to create these generational curses that started in 1619 when we arrived in this country, unwilling, unwanted, raped, chained, and forced to work without our will. So that's why I get passionate. Let me be quiet. So
bring all the passion, man, because that, you know, I want to see this. Deborah and I talk every week about the fact that school boards and superintendents matter. That we don't just want someone there in name only. So Ashley and Lorraine, let me just tell you how blessed you are because I have seen some things in this promised land that doesn't look like Dr. Hutchins, right? And so it is we always laugh and say in the Black and brown community, no, skin folk are kinfolk. Well, he can, right? And so he clearly was invested in a way that would open up this door. So the school was renamed. Was it renamed?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Last week, April 8th.
Yes, April 8th.
When I wanted you all on.
Thursday. Yep.
Oh, and so what is it renamed to now?
Alexandria City High School.
Wow. I am so, congratulations to all of you. To all of you. Julia, can you open up your camera for me for a second, please? What is your role there?
So I'm the chief of school and community relations. And I had the pleasure, because it really was a pleasure, of working with Ashley and of course with Dr. Hutchins, who charged me with working on this public engagement process with the students. And I couldn't be prouder of the work that they did. It really helped us to shape what the engagement process was going to be. And I think what was fabulous about it was that we put the student voice right in the middle. And so there really wasn't a lot of opposition like we thought we were going to get, because it's such a famous high school. But when people started to hear their voices and what they wanted, and they came up with the process for this, they led the student chats, invited the students that were going to be part of it, created the questions. I mean, they took it on, the slides, everything else. They also participated in all the other community chats that we had, so the students were at the heart of everything that we did. And so, and even last week, they stood up at the school board meeting and they said, this is the name we want. And so it was like we had put them at the heart of everything. Even to rename the school, we put students first to put the submissions in, and then the community to react to that. So it's really been their example of what students should be doing in their schools to rename and take a stance. And so so proud of them. And I couldn't have done it without them, honestly, and my team, of course, but I was fortunate to be part of that process as well. So I was excited about them being able to talk about this today.
Yeah, and so when we come back, I want to talk about why is it important to have students at the center of what is going on and not talk around them, through them, for them, after them. What you've done is something that can be replicated in school districts around the country. Can you hold on 1 second for me, please? 1 second, please. All right, here we go. I want to make sure that you all understand this piece. WURD Radio, in partnership with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Independence Blue Cross Foundation, Penn Medicine, and LabCorp, have teamed up to launch Go to Know. Go to Know is a new public health campaign to reduce colorectal cancer in the Black community. Request your free, easy, at-home colorectal cancer screening test called a FIT Kit. The FIT Kit is designed to provide early detection of colorectal cancer. The FIT Kit test doesn't require any fasting or colon cleanses, and it can be done in a matter of minutes. Most importantly, you will learn how to make sure that you and your family members can stay well and live a long, healthy life. Go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner, or call 1-877-422-2030 and learn how you can get your free at-home FIT Kit screening test. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. We will be right back after these messages.
We are people of resilience, so let's protect our lives with vaccines we can trust. We can do this.
To learn more about COVID-19 vaccines, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax-Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, this is our weekly livelihood segment that we do around race and equity. And every week we have Deborah Keys Right On from the Right Keys to Consulting to talk about and bring on guests from around the country to talk about race, equity, what happens in and out of schools, how that works from the superintendent to the school board levels on down. This week I am super excited to have Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins Jr., who is the superintendent of Alexandria School District, correct? Right? Alexandria School District. Julia Burgess, who is the communications director in that school district, and two phenomenal students, Ashley Sanchez Villafara and Lorraine Johnson, who all work together to rename a school that people have been asking for years, decades probably, because Mr. Hutchins has been in there since 1995. We're going 30 years now. 30 years or more around renaming a school that was named after a segregationist, T.C. Williams. The school, as of April 8th, last Thursday, is now called Alexandria City high school, school districts. That's high school, right? High school? Alexandria City High School. And so these phenomenal students are, and these leaders that you're looking at on the screen or listening to on the radio are a prime example of student-centered behaviors. Student-centered behaviors. They could have literally said to the students, just tell us what you want. I've interviewed students who have been on this show, Lorraine and Ashley, who have said that they've raised their voices to ask certain questions. They have been called by superintendents who told them, go in the back, let's not talk about this on the air, do not air our dirty laundry, we don't want to have this conversation, and we'll get back to you, and maybe we'll let you talk to the school board. I've had school board members who said, well, the children don't know what they want, and we're the adults, and we're giving them what they want. What you are actually looking at is the perfect storm in a wonderful sense for all of you. So my question to you, Ashley and Lorraine, is this. Where do you see yourself now in terms of your leadership responsibility for the students who are coming behind you? And what would you like to say to Dr. Hutchins and Julia for their role in this? Let's go. Miss Dissertation.
I can start. I think, well, talking about my experiences as student representative and as what I want to do with my life, and the way I want to move forward with this, because I do want to continue just focusing on racial equity and just social justice. Like I hope to major in political science and then minor in French. So for me, it's just being able to create those spaces for young people, but for everyone in general, for those that you don't really hear their voices, those that have been silenced, those that have been deliberately, made invisible by society because of racism, discrimination, all these other systemic and oppressive issues that we're fighting. So for me, it's just being able to create a space for them and for them to be able to have their own table, not just a seat, but have their own table where they can unapologetically be themselves. Because for me, I'm not going to speak for all Black people, but for me and a couple of friends of mine, just being in academic spaces where you're the only student of color, it's like the only emotion that you're able to you're the only emotion that you're given access to or you're able to feel freely is guilt. You feel guilt because of your situation, because of where you are, because of your circumstances, but I don't want for anyone to feel that way. I want us to be able to feel all emotions, to be able to be accepted in a society where, we don't have to give excuses. We don't have to always be doing something, because I always feel like for people of color, it's always, we're doing something. We're not being like, I want to be able to be myself. I want to be able to just rest if I need to. So it's like, so for me, it's just being able to create that space for people, for them to unapologetically be themselves, for us to make sure that, they are receiving the resources, they are receiving the support system that helps everything that they need. Because that's like, we have a history in our country where, Black men are disproportionately incarcerated. We have a history in our country where in some areas of the country, school divisions and education systems aren't giving students of color the necessary resources, where they're not shown that educators aren't telling them that they matter, that they're loved, that they're supported, that they have those systems. So for me, it's just being able to make that happen, keep going.
So you're leaving the blueprint. What grade are you in now?
I'm a senior.
And where did you apply to college, madam?
I applied to a lot of colleges. I mean, I think my top choice would probably be George Washington.
My husband went to that college. That was where he got his 3 master's degrees, and he still talks about it. He loved it. It is, it challenges you, but I'm married to a nerd. Yes, I am. And so I fully expect to hear from you and hear good things about you. And this blueprint that you and Lorraine and your superintendent and your communications director are leaving behind is one that the children will be, the young people coming behind you will be talking about for generations to come. Mark my words. You were able to accomplish what people have been working so hard for all this time. So thank you, Miss Ashley Sanchez Villafara. Oh, I can see. She even has a name that says lawyer. politician, president of the United States. That name, honey, those names mean something. All right, Miss Johnson, what do you think your blueprint is that you left behind, you're going to leave behind? And what would you like to say to Dr. Hutchins and Miss Burgess?
So I think that it's not just, I think that since this was like really a team effort, it's not just like my blueprint that we're leaving behind. I think that before, like, since like T.C. Williams, since the high school was built, I think like every decade or every so years, something has changed, like because of the students. In the beginning with the whole Remember the Titans thing in the 60s, the segregation changed in our school because of the football team.
Right.
And years that, like after that, like maybe in the early 2000s, they wanted to rebuild the school, and that was a movement that was probably made or suggested by the students. And now we're doing this renaming process. So I think that our school and like just the community of Alexandria, just like the kids that we have or that we raise in like Alexandria, they have this, I keep saying this, but like they have this tenacity that just makes them want to do more and want to change and want to leave our high school better than we left it. There's something in them that just does that. So I think that my blueprint, I guess it's just for them to create more change. I'm really excited to just know what our middle schoolers and our elementary school students today, I'm just so excited to come back in 4 years and just see what they have done, what they've done to the place.
Yes. So you're a senior too, right?
I am a senior, yes.
And where are you wanting to go?
I'm going to the University of Texas at Austin to study communications and leadership.
So when I hang it up, you can jump right in. I love it. I love it. I love it. What do you both want to say to the two leaders that are on this call with us? Because they played a pivotal role, you know.
I want to say, like, to Dr. Hutchins, I just think that he's like written recommendation letters for me, and he asked me, I remember when he first asked me to join his superintendent student advisory group, he was like, I've seen you a lot of times in the hallway, like in different clubs and everything, you should come and join my group. And so then I went there, and then from there I just started getting involved in even more clubs and stuff, just because I saw that it was like just his first couple of years there, and I saw that we were really going to make change, and that Alexandria and our school was in good hands. So I just want to thank you for like just shaking Alexandria up and just starting this revolution and everything, because without you on our side, on the student side, on the ACPS employer side, you were just really supportive, and without you, it would be a lot harder. Thank you so much. And Ms. Burgos, she has been with the students throughout this whole renaming process and the reopening process and everything. She has been the person that the students or me and Ashley always go to for everything, and to connect with ACPS employees and just to say, oh, we want to do this, how do we get this done? She has all the answers, and she's just been there and been on the student side this whole time. So thank you so much, Ms. Burgos.
You know, it is, we spend so much time as leaders and adults hiding behind our badges, our credentials, and just collecting a paycheck. I'm not saying anything that is conjecture. I've seen it happen time and again. It is absolutely refreshing. And I do mean this with every bit of everything in me. It is absolutely refreshing to speak to people who not only get it, they're supporting the students, they're leaving a great legacy behind. And I drive across the country at least once a year. I didn't do it last year because of COVID. I'm doing it again this year. I have to go down. I'm going down to Mississippi and Alabama, and then I'm going to go fishing in Louisiana because long story. But I'm stopping in Alexandria again. And when I stop in Alexandria, I want to be able to come by at least to the school district to have a dialogue with all of you for what you have been doing, because I want to keep highlighting the work that you're doing. I cannot thank you. Deborah, you are like gold standard for me. I'm telling you. These young people, the leaders that you're putting on the air, and I'm doing it purposefully because we keep saying this is wrong and that's wrong and that's wrong. And so we're giving people ideas around what they can do in their parts of the world. We're in Philadelphia, but there are things happening everywhere else so that we can see. I fully expect you all to tell me where you went to college with. So let me know, Dr. Hutchins, where they ended up in college. I know one's going to Texas. Ashley, have you decided where you're going yet?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. So we'll figure it out. Thank you all so much, Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins, Superintendent of the Alexandria City School District, Julia Burgess, who is their Communication Director Extraordinaire, Ashley Sanchez Villafaro, Lorraine Johnson, and boy, Deborah Keys, right, girl, when I'm doing my travel across the country, I'm coming to stop and see you.
Yes, you are. You are. Thank you, students. Your legacy, what you're going to leave behind. Thank you guys so much. And good to see you, Dr. Hutchins.
All right.
Great to see you too. So proud
Bye to all of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye-bye. So listen, it's been so interesting. We have literally had these conversations every single week. I know you may get a little bit flustered or, you don't want to hear it all the time, but racism and bias and all of those other isms that we talk about all the time is consistent. When I talk about the fact that we need to have students, I see him, Michael. Let him in at commercial, please. When we need to talk about students who are doing the darn thing, when we need to talk about adults who are not making the excuses and making sure that our young people get what they need, when we talk about systems that allow young people that are student-centered, that we don't keep passing the buck, well, this one's problem and it's that one's problem, while the children around them continue to suffer. I'm giving you examples of what's great around this country, right? Because we can stay focused on what's happening here in our little city of Philadelphia and don't look at the greater spectrum and what's working, so we can take some of those ideas and make them work here. If you listen to Lorraine, she said something that was absolutely key. Yes, she's leaving a blueprint, but that blueprint started happening way before her. What she spoke of is absolute leadership. Leadership dictates that when something happens, you don't take full responsibility for it and that you're the best thing since sliced bread. Leadership dictates that you find a little bit of humility and give credit to the people who came before you, who did all the work to get it to the right place where you can just drop your little drop of water and turn it into something and spin it into gold, right? And so you're seeing from these young students what is capable and what is possible in our communities. I am at a place right now in my middle ages and stages of life that I just want you all to know we've got to get to a better place instead of tearing each other down and pointing fingers. Look at what's working. Figure out how you can get people on board to work with you. And if someone is not worth it, don't spend your whole time tearing them down. Move on from them, right? Because we waste time. You're giving energy to something that you really probably didn't need to give energy to. Move on from them and do what you need to do. I am going to take a quick break, but when I come back, I am going to speak to the gentleman of whom the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, that Will Smith was a part of, his book, I cannot wait to talk to him. I am taking a quick break. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is a number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
Nappy Style hair products are formulated for today's black men and women's hair, embracing ancestral hairstyles. Come and experience these products: beard oil for men, cream paste, and napping gel growth oil for braids. Go to www.nappystyles.com or The Movement in Mount Airy, 7133 Germantown Avenue, or African Cultural Art Forum, 221 South 52nd Street, or Culture Exchange, 1450 Point Breeze Avenue. Be happy to be nappy.
In these days of isolation, being home with a medically fragile child is especially challenging. Mars Care has been helping families deal with this challenge since 1984. Mars Care understands the special healthcare needs these young patients require and is ready to provide skilled nursing, rehabilitative therapies, and home health aid services. Mars Care is here to help their families get through this difficult time. For more information, go to marscare.com. That's marscare.com.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
Undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I am getting ready to interview Chris Gardner, CEO of Happiness, award-winning film producer. Chris Gardner's autobiography, The Pursuit of Happiness, became a New York Times #1 bestseller, has been translated into over 40 languages, including 6 dialects of Chinese, and most recently into Arabic. Gardner is also the inspiration for the critically acclaimed film, The Pursuit of Happiness, for which Will Smith received the Golden Globe, Screen Actors Guild, and Academy Award nominations for his performance. Gardner's second book, Start Where You Are, also a bestseller, was published in 2009. He just completed his newest book, Permission to Dream, which will be available in April 2021. Gardner has described himself as a 67-year-old startup. Good afternoon, Mr. Gardner. How are you? And welcome to The Source.
Well, thank you. And the first thing we need to make sure the Source knows is the book dropped today, not sometime in April. Today, player.
The book dropped today. All right.
All right.
Come on now. So tell me, where can we find the book?
You can find it at any, and if I would have a preference, any local or independent owned bookstore.
Okay.
You can, of course, do Amazon. You can do anything you want to do online. You can do all of that. But I'm trying to direct as much traffic as I can to small and independent owned bookstores.
All right. So thank you for being a part of this conversation. What is Permission to Dream all about?
Permission to Dream is the greatest gift that I ever got in my life. I had one of those old-fashioned mothers who told me every day that you could do or be anything, and I believed it. That was the greatest gift I ever got in my life. I passed that same permission on to my children, but right now I'm in a position to give it to a whole new generation.
Yes, yes.
This book started as a result of a conversation I was having with my then 9-year-old granddaughter as we were stranded in the worst snowstorm in history on the wrong side of town with no transportation, and we got to walk home. And out of no place, my baby looks up at me and she asks, "Papa, what's the difference between a dream and a plan?"
And what did you say to her?
I said everything that's in the book, Permission to Dream. And made sure she, first of all, understands that a dream without a plan is worthless.
Yes.
A dream with a plan is priceless. Imagine, if you could, having the one last conversation with the person that you love more than life. What would you want them to know about the world we're in, where we're from, and where we're going? What would you want them to know? And this was that conversation. And I've got to tell you, this book was ready to go last year. We made a conscious decision. No, we're not going to try and bring anything positive into the toxicity of 2020. So that's why we waited till right now. In April, the sun is shining, the birds are coming back, the trees are budding, and we're going forward. This book is all about going forward, not backwards. Now, how can we get back to? Because what was back to wasn't working for all of us anyway.
Yep.
So let's go forward, okay? And I've got to tell you, I'm tremendously excited about it. I also, Andrea, I did something I'll never do again in my life.
Which is?
I recorded this book in my own voice.
Wasn't as easy as you thought it would have been, huh?
Oh, girl. Oh, I got the producer in my ear from New York, the engineer out here in the studio. They're reading along with me, and it's like you're reading with two English teachers on each shoulder.
Yes.
Right? And you got to stop, cut, go back. You said the instead of the. You got to be consistent. And I'm telling you this for a reason. I caught myself, Andrea, getting a little bit of a little internal attitude.
Dude, yes.
And I said, well, let's take a break here. Time out for a minute. I went over in the corner and I Googled the producer, only to find out she's been nominated for 2 Grammys for audiobooks.
That's right. You got your internal attitude together, didn't you?
Andrea, now it's like, oh, well, what do you think I should do here? Yes, help me out. Give me a little direction here. Yeah. So, but we're tremendously excited about it, man.
Yeah.
And so it drops today, baby.
So, Mr. Gardner, let me say this. You have written that we're all going to end up buying Permission to Dream. I have a quite an eclectic amount of books all around me. Some you can't see in my office, but I'm constantly reading. We remember you from The Pursuit of Happiness, right? The first book that you put out that became a movie. Would you say that, so let me just be clear, this book that you wrote was about your own story, correct? The first book?
Absolutely.
Right, it was. Okay. So you literally, in that book, in that story that you wrote, gave yourself permission to dream. And so this third book of yours only makes absolute sense for those of us who watched that movie and read that book, right? What do you say to people who are watching you and saying, well, he's worth millions of dollars now. He's doing all that he can do. I am stuck where I am. And if you all watched the movie, you saw how he was living in his
choice.
Come on, say it again. Say it again.
Right there. That is your choice.
Say more about that, Mr. Gardner.
You have permission to dream. You can make the choice to stay where you are. You can't change something until you own it.
Come on.
Your location is not your destination, but it can be if you choose it.
Come on. Come on.
And that's what this book is about. You got to own it. At some point, Andrea, whatever happens in the world happens. There are things that we cannot control. However, what we can control is right here.
Yes.
You can't change something until you own it. And I will say this in all sincerity to those people that you were just referencing. Some folks just need somebody else to blame.
Come on now, the victim mentality. See now, you and I could talk all day long. And it's true, the victim mentality. I always ask people when they stay stuck there, well, you don't understand. My father wasn't there for me and my mother wasn't there for me. And okay, all right, lots of people have had that story and have moved on. What is working for you that you keep staying stuck right there, right? And so this book, Permission to Dream, seems like one that lots of people, especially those who don't think they can dream, should have.
I'm doing with this book in connection with this book, Andrea, not to cut off, but very important. I got to share. I'm in the process now of doing a tour. It's going to have me speak at 1,000 public schools all across the country.
Thank God.
I'm doing high schools, middle schools, and upper level elementary schools, and sharing with them the 3 most important decisions that I ever made in my life, all of which I made at their age or younger.
How old were you when you made those 3 most important decisions?
I made the most important decision I ever made in my life when I was 5 years old.
5 years old.
Growing up without a father and in a situation where I was told every day by my stepfather, I ain't your daddy. You ain't got no daddy. And at times he would place a 12-gauge shotgun right here just to make his point. I made the decision that when I grow up, become a man and have children, my children are going to know who their father is.
Yeah.
That singularly is the most important decision I ever made in my life, because that decision, Andrea, didn't just change my life, that changed the lives of my yet to have been born children and my grandchild. That one decision had generational impact. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's what I'm talking to young people about. The decisions that you're making right now are going to impact the rest of your life.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And doing this tour, coast to coast, kicking it off in Los Angeles, 100 schools, downstate Illinois, coming to New York City. And before it's over, I'm going to sing that old Johnny Cash tune. I've been everywhere.
Yes. Let me ask you this. How can schools reach out to you if they want you to be a speaker for them?
Well, first of all, let's make sure we understand this.
Yes.
I am open to invitations, but we have to do, when you're trying to do something like this, Andrea,
yes,
you have to be very systemic.
Yes.
I know I'm in LA, 100 schools. I know I'm in Orange County, 100 schools. I know, and girl, we just did something. Let me tell you something. Now, I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but let me tell you something. It's one thing to think you're doing something that's good and might be working, but when you see some numbers, come back, November of 2019, I spoke down at Moss Point, Mississippi, one of the poorest communities and one of the poorest states in the United States. I did not plan this, Andrea, but in that room, that energy, when we could do things live, I felt something with that 750 kids in that room that made me challenge them. They were getting ready to take the state-required mandatory exam. And we all got some thoughts about state-required mandatory exams. Okay, let's put that aside for a second. The kids got to take the exam. I challenged them to seek and bring back perfection with that test. You can't have perfection in your life, but you can achieve academic perfection. There's something called an A.
Yes, yes, yes.
80,000 students in the state of Mississippi took that exam. 25 in the entire state came back with perfect scores, and 3 of the 25 came out of my school.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
2 additional children missed a perfect score by 1 point. I'm saying all that to say this. I challenged them. You come back with a perfect score, I got something for you. You know what they got today?
What?
They got a copy of my new book, Permission to Dream. But they also got a check for $1,000.
Come on. I'm telling you. Oh, that is amazing.
So it is payday in Mississippi, okay?
Okay.
It's payday in Mississippi. Yes,
wow. Let me ask you one last question before we have to go. What are the 3 R's, or the rep, the rap, and the Rolodex? I have to hear that before you go.
You are too young. You don't remember that old song we used to have to sing in school about the 3 R's. Reading, writing,
and arithmetic.
Okay.
I'm
that
not
song
that
was
young.
1759. Excuse me, 1795. Well, the new 3 R's, the rep, the rap, and the Rolodex. You must have a reputation for excellence and integrity in your business and personal life. The rap, you've got to be able to communicate. You can have the best goods, services, or products in the world, but if you cannot communicate, if you cannot rap, you will never sell anything. And most importantly, the Rolodex. Now, some of your younger viewers and listeners, y'all got to Google this big thing. It was a paper wheel thing called a Rolodex. Before we had a smartphone, Andrea, we had a Rolodex.
Yes,
what we're talking about there are your relationships.
Yes.
Relationships can be worth more than money.
Come on.
Relationships can make things happen that money cannot. You could take me right now, take away any and everything in the world except my health, but you put me any place on the planet. As long as I got my rep, my rap, and my Rolodex, we're going to make it do what it do.
Yes. Mr. Gardner, I have to tell, we have to go, but I want to say this to you. I want to interview you again.
Now.
Huh?
You rushing me off the phone.
Because, sir, listen.
You got to go now. You're busy.
So no, because let me tell you what's getting ready to happen. I'm going to interview you again next week for a full hour on another platform, a full hour, because I think that we need to have more of a conversation that goes beyond this little time slot that we have. And so I have another show that I do on Wednesdays for that full hour. You and I are going to go through everything from the beginning to the end so that people can understand, because I don't think they're getting the full, some of them are getting it. Someone just said fatherhood. They're so impressed with you. So Permission to Dream can be found at any place where books are being sold, but he would prefer for you to purchase it at an independently owned or small bookstores like Uncle Bobby's or Harriet's right here. Yes, sir. So thank you so much for being here with us, and we will talk to you next Wednesday again. Okay?
Thank you so much for.
Oh, you're quite welcome, sir. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, that was so nice. That was so cool. That was the author of Pursuit to Happiness, where the movie Will Smith played, where he was nominated for some awards. That was Chris Gardner. He just wrote a book called Permission to Dream. And as I listened to him talk, I said, thank God for my parents, right? Because when your parents teach you that you can do anything that you want to do with your life, you don't sit around and worry about what other people are thinking. I'll get Prince when I come back from the break. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to WURDradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to WURDradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
You probably heard it before, but one of the best ways to stay safe from COVID is by avoiding crowds. That's better. Also, when you're out in public, make sure you stay 6 feet away from strangers or people you don't live with. It's okay to say, "Can I have some space, please?"
Well, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day today, and we can expect much.
If you're gonna have a get-together with friends and family, have it outside. And remember to keep those 6 feet of social distance. And last but not least, wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth with no gaps. They slow the spread of COVID or new forms of the virus called variants. And make sure you get your vaccine when it's your turn. We're all out here trying our best, and it's making a difference. We just gotta keep it up. We can do this.
To learn more about slowing the spread, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I had the most interesting conversation with Chris Gardner, author of Pursuit to Happiness, the book that became a movie that Will Smith starred in, and he's written a new book called Permission to Dream. I was so excited to talk to him. I'm going to have another conversation with him in depth next week so we can go, because he has quite a Rolodex of inspiration and the things that he has done. And I'm very intentional about making sure that you all hear these things over and again, because when we get stuck in the mud and mire of depression and nothing is looking up for us in this city and beyond, we feel like we can't do anything. But people like Mr. Gardner and my parents reminded me that you can do anything you want to do. You can go anywhere you want to go, and you can be anything you want to be. And so it's not just for some of us, it's for all of us. Thank you, Woody, about the piece about drinking or putting a little salt in my water. I'm just now seeing that. Let me take Prince. Prince, let me take you, and then I'll get to my next guest. It's been a full show. How are you, sir?
I am awesome. And so whenever you set up an opportunity, as soon as things open up, then I would like to come to where this gentleman might be and maybe buy a book and get a signature and stuff like that. So I guess if you bring these incredible people on with these books, you should have a venue where we can go ahead and we can sell, 25 to 30 or 50 books and stuff. We come, you know, because, you know, we're going to purchase them anyway because, you know, I started with a book, you know, you know, so I want you to write this down. So write A-S-A-P. Did you write that down?
ASAP.
Right. And so you know what it stands for?
As soon as possible.
Right. And it stands for always stop and pray.
Come on.
How about that?
Come on.
So as soon as possible, always stop and pray. How about that?
Yes. That's awesome. That is awesome. I like that, Prince. Lord, because these folks have me out here praying in these Wakandan streets.
So when I was growing up and someone had come to the door, my dad would not allow my mom to answer the door. Like it was just one of those things in our house. Someone could knock all day long, and my dad could be upstairs, and my dad would come down. And so my dad always believed that if any man coming to this house, he should be the first one to greet him.
Right.
Milkman, millman, whoever it was knocking on the door. And so I say that because when I called earlier, I'd asked a grown man about, does he know the difference between prefab and stick building? And he didn't. And he was a college graduate, and he was technology savvy, but he didn't understand construction. And so and I would like if you could do a show talking to the women on how to identify the man in their lives, because if he's a technology guy and he can't fix the toilet, or he can't identify the circuit breaker in your house, or he can't do some things that men do, then it's not going to last at all. He's going to work you like a workhorse because he's incompetent, because he hasn't been learned, not trained. We train animals. We don't train people. He hasn't been learned how to do these things from another man.
Right.
And this joker is going to debate me about women having the competency to do things. I don't doubt that. But in a performance kind of environment where you have to lay 20 rocks of sheetrock, when she get in that environment, she's expected to lay 20 rocks of sheetrock. No basketball player is expected to drop 30 points. Other women play basketball like men. But men have been known to drop 100 points. And so I wasn't in the debate to debate him about what women can do. I was in the debate, I was in the conversation to say that productivity in certain environments means a whole lot.
Right.
And he didn't get it. And so many people are listening to these incompetent men because they're hiding behind either Zooms or hiding behind a radio station, but they're incompetent because in the real world, they don't stand tall against other men. They stand in the back of the room. They put their head down. They walk with their head down. They should come and do my neck brace program, where I put the neck brace around it so you can keep your head up, so you can look a man in his eyes. And a lot of people are just getting away. Women are meeting men and letting them get away with being soft as cotton. And that's unfair to the woman, because down the road, if she has children by him, she's going to find out that he is not strong enough to raise that young boy into a grown man. You know, and everybody keeps saying, well, women can do it. Well, that's not how it's meant for. You know, every time you talk about your husband, you talk about your son.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? That's important.
I do.
There. So
I do.
When did y'all forget that? When did you forget that it is important how we raise? If you don't have these soldiers to fight to stand for you, then you're gonna come up with these fancy words like gentrification, or they're taking over. Who is there and who is they, and who is where you get all those adjectives from to describe people? Because you didn't do your part. You don't own nothing. You know, and they keep trying to lead us and guide us and tell us the narrative. Once again, my 23-year-old niece and my 90-year-old great-grandma don't care about any economy word or the environment. When they worried about if their friends are getting shot or somebody's grandkid is getting shot. You're gonna tell them how they can grow plants in their tubs? That's ridiculous. We grow plants outside. You know what I mean? Take over some land. Let us come and do gardening on that. You know, let us do these things that we need to do to survive. But don't lecture us. Right. Please don't lecture us. In a city where we're dying almost 3 or 4 people a day who look like us, in a city where it does $1 trillion, both stimulus and of regular buildings, and in a city where we have majority people look like us in council, and we don't have a nickel and a quarter in anything. That's the most
so let me say this, Prince. And my next guest is on, but I want to say this to you. Emotional intelligence is so key, and it's sorely lacking on many levels.
Right. Help me, help me. Don't help me based on you feeding me, calling this, we got food deserts. We got food deserts, and right across the street, you got an $80 million project going on. Somebody working on that $80 million project, and you want to give me a box of groceries, and yet tomorrow I'll be back in this line getting another box of groceries from some church, from some pastor, from some guy driving a nice car, leaving out my community, not paying property taxes, not paying any kind of taxes to even help my city. And you want to keep giving me food opposed to giving me an opportunity. And don't forget, Thursday when I talk to you, I'm going to have 5 more names on that list because I know you.
Lord Jesus, you know, because you know I looked up the names, and I'm fussing at you. Don't give me nothing else to do. You got me out here digging into people's stuff.
That's my soapbox.
I can't take it.
That's my soapbox. I'm staying on it, and I'll talk with you Thursday.
All right, bye, Prince. Bye. All right, so listen. Right now we have Keena Sears Brown, Director of Continuing Professional Education and Workforce Initiatives at Goodwin College of Professional Studies. Keena oversees non-credit professional development courses and workshops at Goodwin College of Professional Studies. She established the Skills Hub, a lifetime learning community designed to connect incumbent workers, emerging professionals, and displaced adults to industry credentials and skill building workshops. Keena brings to her role at Drexel over 15 years of expertise in strategic planning and business development, working with clients and partners in higher education, private and workforce sectors. Keena is an alumna of Penn State University, where she earned a bachelor's degree in communications and a master's degree in business administration. Keena, I interviewed you before. I did. Yes, I did.
Yes,
not only
did nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. And not only did I take that interview, I literally was invited to do something with Aldea, the Hispanic population. I was a part of a conversation there, and I told them about your program and sent them the link.
Thank you.
I did because it so resonated with me. So what are we talking about today? Are we still trying to get people to come into the program? Because you heard Prince just saying it, right? We're giving people food to eat instead of giving them skills.
Exactly. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on again. When I came on your program February, the overwhelming response that we got from WURD listeners was just like out the park. So we actually have some people in our manufacturing career bootcamp as a result of your listeners. We really appreciate it. Yes. So today, we're still talking about Manufacturing Career Accelerator Program, otherwise known as MCAP. MCAP is a 7-week work readiness program. If you are unemployed or underemployed or just looking to try something new, we invite you to attend this free 7-week program that Drexel is sponsoring. It will give you really necessary workplace skills that will help you get hired in the manufacturing industry. So we also, after the 7 weeks, you earn industry credentials, which we were just talking about, a Lean Six Sigma certification, as well as OSHA 10, which is very tethered to construction, manufacturing industry. So you come out with really good workplace skills that employers are looking for to get hired into the manufacturing industry. We have a consortium of manufacturers in the region who are looking to hire our graduates from this program. And so we're having our next information session because we are recruiting for our next cohort, which begins on May 10th. And so we have 20 seats available for that next cohort. And we're having an information session on this Thursday, the 15th at 2 p.m. And we invite the WURD listeners to attend this virtual information session to learn more about MCAP.
So I am putting an edict out here. We have quite a few people that listen to this show, to The Source. If you have a grandchild who is in their 20s, a niece or a nephew who is not quite sure what they want to do, if you have someone who was laid off because of COVID and you can't figure out a way to pivot out of the industry that you were in because it's not picking back up, here is a great way for you. I want those 20 slots to be filled up after we get off the air today. I'm so serious, right? Because, Kina, we keep saying that we don't have enough opportunities out here. And here is a perfect opportunity. It's 7 weeks. It's free. You get credentialed. And I think you told me that it started at least at $15 an hour, correct?
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Thank you. So in addition to it being free, you get a Chromebook to do the virtual training.
You get a laptop.
Yep, a laptop Chromebook. If you have internet connections, right, which we know some people don't, we give you a hotspot so you can stay connected. And then throughout the program, we try to match you with what you're looking for, what transferable skills you have and what you're thinking about, doing next. So some of the jobs that we have that are paying well over $15 an hour are jobs like CNC machinists that they'll train you for. There's on-the-job training, or production supervisors. There's just a plethora of opportunities, and we like to say there's more to manufacturing than one may realize.
Right.
No longer like the warehouse, dirty, dingy floor. There are advanced manufacturers, who are looking for people. You don't need to know the ins and outs, the nuances of the job technically. You just have a willingness to learn. And the program prepares you to work in advanced manufacturing with jobs that are paying well over $15 an hour.
Yeah.
So we talk about crime, and I've been saying this to some of our civic association meetings I've been a part of. We talk about the crime in the city, that we're on pace to hit or bypass 600 people. Like you said, this is an opportunity for those, younger people between the ages of 18 and 24 who might be graduating this upcoming spring, and everyone's not going to go to college.
Right.
That's okay. But we want them to know that there's opportunity for you to earn a decent living, to have benefits, and to be able to advance your career. And we're hoping that this MCAP program is going to put you on that fast track.
So the next cohort starts on May 10th. There's an informational session this Thursday, April 15th. And it is free, as in free. There are no strings attached. The only string attached is that you get a job at the end of it, making over $15 an hour at the very least. At the very least, $15 an hour. And so it's a 7-week program that is absolutely free. You get a laptop, Chromebook, and if you don't have internet access, they'll also give you a hotspot. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Better than that?
No, you can't. No, you cannot. And so do they have to show up to the different places to learn, or are they learning online? This is hands-on learning. What are we doing here?
So the 7 weeks is all virtual, right? We're still in a pandemic. So we're doing this next cohort, continuing doing that virtually. And then once you move into more of the employer matching phase, there will be some opportunities for site visits with the manufacturers who are looking to hire these candidates. Well, they'll get a little bit more immersed into the actual, site visits and that. But up front, we're going to prepare you to learn about what manufacturing is all about, to learn about the career opportunities. And I people, even though, we have a consortium of employers who are waiting in manufacturing, let's just say you decide to do another pivot after you graduate, at least you come out of this with Lean Six Sigma certifications, O10, and these career essential, skill sets that's going to give you a great opportunity no matter what direction you go into. I tell people all the time, people say, I don't know about manufacturing. Give it a try and see where it could lead you, because it's a great opportunity. And we were funded by the city of Philadelphia to offer this program. So we're really excited about recruiting for this next, cohort of people.
All right. So how can they reach you? Phone number, email address, all of that.
Yes. So the best way to reach me, and I'll hook you up with the MCAP information on the information session, which is today, as well as answer any questions you may have. Email me at kena.sears@drexel.edu. So that's KENA.sears, SEARS, like the store, .edu. Or you can call our hotline, our recruitment hotline, which is 215-770-7101. 215-770-7101. You call their recruitment hotline, someone will respond to you and just do a very simple intake assessment just to see, you know, what are you doing? Are you unemployed? Are you working part-time? Many of the current people, and I have to say, we have 11 people who are graduating from our first inaugural, you know, I'm repetitive, but our inaugural cohort on Friday, April 16th. And so 8 women are part of this cohort. So, you know, I'm beyond happy that 8 women are a part of this cohort. Love the men. These 8 women are ready. They're ready to be placed. And so we're going to have a good time on Friday, really seeing what their journey's been about. And they'll be doing some presentations. So it's going to be a part of the next cohort where you're really going to be able to showcase what you learned. And employers are invited to the graduation. So they get to see all the skills that you learned over 7 weeks. And now you're definitely more employable, right? You're more hireable and attractive to employers. So,
someone just asked, is there an age limit?
Absolutely
not. Nope, no age limit, Teresa.
No, 18 to 80, we say. 18 to 80. Because really, you know, in this current training session, this cohort that we have anyone from a 19-year-old to someone well into their 60s, right? Yeah. Cross section of people, because we're meeting people where they are. No matter, you know, what your situation may be, we want you to think about enrolling in this program. The only commitment and the only experience that you need is just a willingness to dedicate, you know, for 4 hours a day for 7 weeks.
That's it? 4 hours a day?
4 hours a day, 8 to 12, Monday to Friday.
You know, it's so funny. I grew up in a family where, you know, you never have too many skills, right? Mm-hmm. And every time I talk to you, I'm like, I should sign up for this and get some what am I going to do with the certification? I don't know, but I should sign up for it just to even learn. Yeah. And if COVID was not an issue, I actually thought about this when I spoke to you the first time. If COVID were not an issue, I would come there to Drexel and talk about right there and come see what it is like so that I could tell the people, you know, because some people are visual learners, right? Yes. Show people what it is like, because I think when people think the service industry, it's like, well, I'm going to send over a machine. I'm not going, you know, it's not going to be glamorous. And so many folks don't understand that it's robotics right now, you know, that is very different. Apps is vastly different, right? And having that knowledge and those certifications mean that you can take them anywhere. Where are you getting this kind of certification for free? This is why I keep pushing it, you know?
Yes. It's like you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
Learn it. And so I'm glad you mentioned that Lean Six Sigma certification is process improvement. So when you're working in the restaurant industry, you need to know, how can I do things more efficiently? How can I save the company money and time? That's what Lean Six Sigma is all about, right? And so that's tethered to manufacturing, tethered to construction, but it's also a transferable skill set, as to your point, that anyone can learn and that they can apply. So, you know, we put this together. Drexel is known for engineering and technology. Mm-hmm. Just really wanted to create a program that's going to give people a leg up to be successful into those, you know, long-term careers and not just a job.
Yeah.
Out of just, you know, and what we're finding is creating a growth mindset for people, right? It's that lifelong learning mindset. Like you said, you can never have too many credentials. Well, you should always be learning something new.
Yes. So
this aligns very well with that.
Absolutely. Let me, someone says, how can I enroll? So Nicole, 215-770-7101. The info for Thursday's meeting again, 215, see what I mean, Kina? 770-7101. And it's the women. The women are jumping all over it. Or you can email her at kina.sears. So that's KENA dot Sears Department Store, SEARS at drexel.edu. Okay.
Yes.
Michael, can you put that in the Facebook page for them, please, so that they can see it? Again, the phone number is 215-770-7101. Do you have to have a high school diploma to do this?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, or GED.
Or GED.
High school or GED equivalent are very criminal record friendly. We accept returning citizens. So
you accept returning citizens.
I want to point that out there.
Okay.
If you have a background that won't limit you from enrolling in the program, we'll just match you with, you know, employers. We have a good amount of employers who are very receptive to hiring people that may have no matter what the record is. So let that limit you. High school diploma. If you have access to a car, that's great. But if not, we're working out transportation, because if you start working somewhere out in, Northeast Philadelphia that doesn't have a SEPTA route, we're working on ways to break down barriers to get people the jobs that are needed for them to have these family sustaining wages.
Yeah, Nicole, listen, Kina, I just love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just love you. This is the kinds of conversations that I'm having with you are the ones, my friend Nicole just texted me, are the ones that I want to consistently have. Right? Because we talk so much. I get really annoyed when we continually harp on what is so wrong here, when there is so much that is so right in this city, that there are programs and opportunities available, but we don't talk about them, and we don't make people understand what an opportunity that would open up for them so they can do what they need to do. Mike says the Skills Hub contact is 215-770-7101, and you can email her. The informational session is this Thursday, April 15th. The next next cohort starts on May 10th. The first cohort is graduating this Friday. Of the 11 of them, 8 of them are women. Women rock. And you can you can email her at kena.sears@drexel.edu. That is KENA.SEARS@drexel.edu. Kena, thank you so much. Come back anytime. You hear?
I appreciate the time.
And please, you're welcome. And please, yes, please. And please let me know how many people you got from this cohort. I'm willing to believe you have a full cohort this time. Okay?
I will. I appreciate it.
All right, my sister. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source. I love it when these kinds of good things happen, right? 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and this next segment will be open for the WURD listeners. Start calling, because I know you're out there waiting. We will be right back after these messages.
Barbers on Broad. We know grooming is important. Let us show you why. Our barbers have over a decade of experience providing quality services in a professional manner. We specialize in all the classic styles and cuts while delivering the sharpest finishes. Located at 1220 North Broad Street, Suite 3, best in town, best on Broad, Barbers on Broad. Mention this ad to save 10% on your next service. This ad is brought to you by the North Broad Renaissance and Truist Foundation.
The Germantown Friends School mission begins with a commitment to community and to the belief that academic achievement is in itself not enough. Inspired by Quaker values, GFS encourages students in preschool through grade 12 to see the world as theirs to experience, to understand, to create, and to change. Learn more about the GFS academic, arts, and athletics programs at their upcoming virtual open house, Friday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Register now at germantownfriends.org/admissions.
You probably heard it before, but one of the best ways to stay safe from COVID is by avoiding crowds. That's better. Also, when you're out in public, make sure you stay 6 feet away from strangers or people you don't live with. It's okay to say, "Can I have some space, please?"
Well, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day today, and we can expect much.
If you're gonna have a get-together with friends and family, have it outside. And remember to keep those 6 feet of social distance. And last but not least, wear a mask that covers your nose and mouth with no gaps. They slow the spread of COVID or new forms of the virus called variants. And make sure you get your vaccine when it's your turn. We're all out here trying our best, and it's making a difference. We just gotta keep it up. We can do this.
To learn more about slowing the spread, visit cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. We're in the final half an hour of this program, and I am glad that Brianna gives me a little bit of space to talk to the WURD listeners. You know, while folks may think that I shouldn't listen to or hear other people's opinions, this is very important to me that the WURD listeners have a space to call in. They listen We have to hear their voices, whether we agree with them or not. And it is also incredibly important to me that everybody gets treated with dignity and a modicum of respect. It's what I expect out of my life, and so I give it in return. And so the phone lines are open up for all of you. I just talked to Keena Moore, Keena Sears Brown. Why I keep calling it? What is going on with me today? Menopause. Keena Sears Brown, who is the Director of Continuing Professional Education and Workforce Initiatives at Goodwin College of Professional Studies at Drexel University. She has a program, the MCAP program, the Skills Hub, to reach out to her because they have an informational session on April 15th. That's this Thursday. It's virtual and no-cost workforce readiness program for unemployed people of color and women, designed to prepare people for manufacturing careers with regional employees. MCAP graduates earn industry certifications and develop career building skills. And so if you want to reach out to her to get involved in the informational session, it's 215-770-7101. She has 20 slots open. I am expecting all 20 slots to be filled from the people listening to this radio show today. We talk a lot about jobs not being open. We talk a lot about people being offered food and not offered opportunity. Prince calls here every day about that. We hear it's an opportunity. And every time I would invite people who are wanting to, with programs like this, to reach out to my show. I am happy to talk to you because I cannot, I'm daring to dream. I'm daring to dream that we can have a better city with better things going on, and that people are getting opportunities beyond pointing the finger or we're looking out for ourselves. Annoying as all get out, right? So you heard me talk to Chris Gardner, the gentleman that wrote Pursuit of Happiness. And so I'm excited to interview him again next week. He wrote his new book. This is some good stuff. This is just some good stuff. His new book is called, let me see, Permission to Dream. And so I talked to him. We talked to Deborah Keys Wright and two students from the Alexandria. Let me just make sure that I did this, do this properly. Lord, we have such a the guest list was incredible today. Deborah Keys Wright, let me find them, because Lord, we had Dr. Alan Waller, Dr. Gregory C. Hutchins, and Ashley, and a couple of other students that were on. And they were talking about the Alexandria City Public Schools, how they had a school that was named after a racist segregationist, T.C. Williams. They had that changed this past Thursday, April 8th, and it's now called Alexandria City Public School. And so, we talk about all of these things. Chris Gardner, who is, I think is just an amazing person, is someone we can absolutely learn from. He lived in his car, just needed an opportunity, talked about the fact that he, wanted to make sure that he saw his children. He talked about the fact that we need to have, and I wrote this down because I swear he's absolutely correct. Let me just make sure that I put this down, because I wrote this down for all of you so we can remember this. A rep, a rap, and a Rolodex. Your rep is your reputation. What is your reputation out in these streets? It's all you've got, right? And that's why I say to people all the time, don't give anybody your behind to kiss, because you never know what's coming behind the corner. And when you treat people well, amazing things happen for you. A rap, are you able to communicate properly with folks? Are you emotionally intelligent? I can tell when someone isn't emotionally intelligent when you see in their faces and they start to get all riled up and they start to become defensive. People can disagree with you, and you don't have to become disagreeable with them in return. All you can say is, I don't agree with you, this is why, and you don't change your tone of voice or inflection. You treat people well. And your Rolodex, those relationships. The relationships matter in ways that you cannot believe. I said a long time ago when I was living in the suburbs with my sons, and they would say to me, how come we don't see you here all the time? I said, because my whole life, to me, this is a guppy pond. There's a whole ocean. And so I've learned how to develop relationships around the country and around the world. So like Chris Gardner says, when you walk out and you step out of your comfort zone, or if something is going on with you, you should be able to pick up the phone and call anybody. When you insulate yourself and pretend that you are bigger and better than everybody else, and you don't need anyone because you have X, Y, and Z, money alone is the loneliest thing that you could have in your life if you don't learn how to develop authentic relationships with people. It is absolutely necessary and important. My mother, who is still alive, said this to us: you can have all the degrees in the world and all the money, but if you don't know how to treat people, you are poor indeed. and there are doors that will never open up for you. She is absolutely right. I've seen it happen time and again. Chris Gardner talks about a permission to dream. He's right there. If you believe you can do something, don't let the naysayers get in your head and says, you're not accredited, you're not degreed to do that, you can't possibly do that. If you dream it and you have a plan, then go ahead and get it done. And that's how doors continue to open, not just for me, but lots of people like me and like Chris Gardner who have given themselves permission to dream. So lots of good things are happening out here. I'm loving that we have a lineup each day of each week that shows what we're all about. It's about education. It's about our health. It's about our emotional well-being. We talked about the colorectal cancer screening, that African Americans are more likely to be diagnosed with colon cancer. We've seen some famous folks who should have never died from this thing, who died in their 30s and 40s. And so we want to be very mindful around getting the Fit Kit test. Go on WURDradio.com and look that up. Today, I laughed last week, Thursday or Friday, I was getting an EKG done, not EKG, echocardiogram done, and I had blood drawn, and I was at my doctor's office, and I said, my doctor has me on the Ruder to the Tudor tour. But after seeing my friend Leah die suddenly from a heart attack due to a blood clot at the age of 45, 2 weeks after her birthday, I decided it was time for me to take my own health into my hands, which I've been talking about over and again. Y'all knew when I was diagnosed with diabetes. You all know my family history. I'm telling you, nothing that is strange. And so today, it's the mammogram day. So after I get off the air, mammogram. If you know you're at a certain age or your doctor has recommended a certain amount of tests, go get them done. If you are afraid for whatever the reason, if you have fear of sitting in the machines, if you have a fear of getting the colon cleanse done, and you don't want to do it, and they're telling you that you have to, because sometimes people do the Fit Kit test, and are told that they need to get a follow-up colonoscopy done because something may have been found in their stool. And you're afraid to go, take somebody with you. Ask the questions. I have a bunch of nurses in my family, and nurses as friends, and doctors and lawyers, and we talk about these different things, right? So that's why I can come on here and openly have these conversations with you. It's not easy. Getting older is not for punks. Let me just be clear with you. It is a pleasure to get old in these Wakandan streets. Oh, look at the babies are calling. Maurice from Southwest Line 1. Hi, Maurice. How are you?
I'm good. I got a t-shirt I'm wearing right now.
What did it say?
Don't get rear-ended by your prostate.
I can't stand
You know what I mean? Make a date.
Yes, sir.
Make
the prostate. There you go. That's the other thing. Prostate.
You know what I mean? Well, me and my buddies, 4 of us, we go every year, every 4 years. It's like an occasion. We go get ourselves colon cleaned, then we get the prostate checked, then we go out to lunch. It's like getting a tune-up for the old guys. You know what I mean?
Yes. You know what, Maurice? Maurice, listen, I was thinking of getting I'm getting a urologist on here. I want to talk about men as they age and testosterone, right? The things that nobody wants to talk about. Right?
Well, I'm a double kidney transplant patient.
Yes.
And I was on the machine for 7 years, so nobody can tell me about that. And nobody can tell me about hyperbarics, because I was in that chamber for almost 2 years, making sure that my skin grew back. So I know about being in pain, so I'm tired of these people calling up here crying about that they dying or they feeling bad. Ain't nobody felt badder than me, so I ain't want to hear. So listen,
What's
this
up,
is
my
what
brother?
I got to say.
Yes.
They keep bringing Larry Krasner on. I'm so tired of us. It's just like me going to you, asking you, how come the popcorn don't taste right?
So what are you talking about, Maurice?
All these questions that they're directing to Larry Krasner need to be directed to one person, 2 people, the mayor and the police commissioner. I'm so tired of us skipping and going to the guy that prosecutes, but you got to catch him before he prosecutes. And we're not catching him. And I'm so tired of this nonsense. Larry Krasner's for, why ain't we doing this, Larry Krasner? We're asking the wrong guy.
Right.
The right guy is the police commissioner, and she threw her hands up and said, let the feds handle it. I can't do it, so I got these guys, they'll do it. Don't ask me no more questions. So, you might ask me why I've been so hard on Seth, right? I want to tell you why. I love Seth like a brother. In my neighborhood, he was our Barack Obama. 63rd and Cobbs Creek. We knew him since he was a kid. Foster kid, grew up around here. We seen big things for this man. And he betrayed us. So we're not ready yet to give him a second chance, even though everybody deserves one. We're not ready yet to accept these things he's doing. Not yet. He's got a lot to prove to us before we can say, hey, oh, you the administrator. You hear what I'm saying?
I hear you.
When he comes on your show, I'm the administrator of this. Well, man, you got the, no. Maybe you could be the guy that's helping, assisting, but as far as you getting out of jail and now you in charge, I don't care what kind of job it is. I don't care if you're the charge guy that mops the bathrooms at McDonald's. You still ain't worrying your way back until I inspect that bathroom about 3 or 4 times.
Right.
That's all we saying. We're not saying he don't deserve a second chance. We're not saying that it's great that what he's doing. But what we're saying is, don't come out and got a title and we're supposed to like, wow, it's not going to happen.
Right. So let me ask you this, Maurice. Even though he was talking about the fact that he made his mistakes, that he was drinking Jack Daniels,
not trying to hear it. Not trying to hear it.
Okay, I was just asking. I was just asking.
Because we're sick of it. The fat man that come on, we're tired of these guys making up for this dude.
What fat man? What are you talking? Oh, Lord Jesus.
Yeah, people know who I'm talking about. I ain't got to explain it. People know that we love this guy. I mean, it wasn't like we had him pictured to be the next mayor. It wasn't just the DA. We had him going to the top. And when he did that, and he made certain moves that he didn't have to make, we started to say, what's going on, Seth? But we still love you, but what are you doing? And then when we come to find out you was doing the same thing, we found out you was living the ghetto life, got your woman slashing your tires, and all that nonsense, belonging to the Republican Club, where not the rich people go, the wealthy go. We know you didn't belong there. What are you going there for? So we knew what he was doing. So when you come on here trying to talk about reform, nah, man, you got a couple more years to let us see. Okay, now that program's doing well. Thank you, Chef. You're back now, but not fresh out of jail and you get a title. No, we're not trying to hear that. But the thing I'm trying to say is we keep seeing like we keep avoiding that our black people. This is our people are dropping like popcorn right now in the street. What, over the weekend, how many people? 11 people?
11 people shot, 3 dead. I talked about it earlier in the show. Yep.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is today is Tuesday. Barely has any of the hosts even talked about it. Barely. It's like it's so normal that we don't even react. We just, okay, you know what? They got a new commission here, and maybe that we hope maybe that's going to do something. No. This thing had been coming for a long time. This thing was on its way before COVID, and we're not answering the question. How come there's no black job opportunities for our youth? How come there's no training for our kids? How come we don't have people from the school board on this show asking them questions? We go right to height.
So let me ask you this, because you just heard me talk to someone from Drexel who has a 7-week program that's free. I've been talking about these programs, right, for 18 to 80, right, free. That gives them accreditation. They can be returning citizens. Come on, Maurice, give some of us a little bit of credit. We're over here trying to do the work on your behalf.
No, see, you're not getting my point.
What's
I'm
the
not
point,
talking
Maurice?
about you.
But Maurice, I'm a part of WURD Radio. Am I not? You said these hosts.
I'm not talking about your show. I'm sounding off in general.
Okay.
I've been with URD from the beginning. You know what I mean? I'm probably one of the first ones to ever have a membership. You know, my aunt that was 102 was their oldest member.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that these things that's going on is these city officials need to be grinded up. You know, but they come on here, we just ask them general questions. We don't ask them, why are you on the Delaware Port Authority? How is that benefiting the city? Because it seems like being on city council is a part-time job. Why, Bobby Heenan, you getting $75,000 from the electrical union? That seems like city council is a part-time job. We don't ask them kind of questions. Hey, hi, Kiana Johnson, you getting ready to go to jail, you and your wife. What's the situation with your indictment? How's that going? Nobody asked them a question. These are the things we need. These are public servants. We're not fans of theirs. They work for us. They're spending our money. But we act like they're celebrities. We're not asking the right people. Now we got an election coming up that we've not even realized that the FOP and all them that set Larry Krasner up to be the bad guy, our own Democratic Party won't even back him. And then if we get the other guy in there who is sponsored by the FOP, we go back to days of Lynn Abraham. People don't even see it. Nobody's talking about this election. The election is not sexy bringing in judges. You got to find some way to bring in the other guy to find out what's on his agenda.
Yeah. I've been looking to talk to Carlos Vega. Trust me, it's on my agenda.
He's trying everything in the world not to come on your show. Because you know the heavy hitters call your show, and if we ever open up the microphone, we will.
Oh Jesus! I gotta take a break, man. I gotta say goodbye, Maurice. Goodbye, Maurice. I'll talk to you soon.
You know
Love
what?
you.
You know what? You know what I'm gonna do?
What?
I'm gonna let you hang up on me this time.
What? Hang up, Mike. Bang. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live from wordradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I've got Woody, Friendly Fred, and Rick when I come back. We will be right back after these messages.
Nappy Style hair products are formulated for today's black men and women's hair, embracing ancestral hairstyles. Come and experience these products: beard oil for men, cream paste, and napping gel growth oil for braids. Go to www.nappystyles.com or The Movement in Mount Airy, 7133 Germantown Avenue, or African Cultural Art Forum, 221 South 52nd Street, or Culture Exchange, 1450 Point Breeze Avenue. Be happy to be nappy.
Join WURD Radio for our 6th annual Jackie Robinson Day live broadcast. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. Hosted by Charles Ellison and Andrea Lawful Sanders. In celebration of Jackie Robinson, who revolutionized Major League Baseball by breaking racial barriers, this year we're taking a look at how Robinson and other black athletes have played a pivotal role in advocating for social justice. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, April 15th from 1 p.m. till 4 p.m. exclusively on WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on wordradio.com, the WURD Radio app, or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio's special Jackie Robinson Day celebration is brought to you by Pico, Brown's Family ShopRite, and the Family Business Partners, Hers Snack Food, Amoroso's, and Deaton Watson.
Hey WURD family, have you heard of the new Go to Know campaign? If not, here is the deal. WURD Radio has partnered with the Colorectal Cancer Alliance, Penn Medicine, LabCorp, and the Independence Blue Cross Foundation to present the Go to Know Fit Kit Screening Campaign. The Go to Know campaign is an at-home screening test for colon cancer. Yup, you heard me right. You can take your own stool sample and mail it back for testing. Did you know colon cancer, if caught early, is 100% preventable? African Americans are 20% more likely to get colon cancer and about 40% more likely to die from it than most other groups. Plus, it is recommended you get screened if you are 45 years of age or older. So for the next 6 months, you can go to wordradio.com and click on the Go to Know banner for your free at-home screening test. It's that simple. Again, just go to wordradio.com, click on the Go to Know banner, and request your free at-home screening test. That's it. Go to Know today.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on wordradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I've got so many good things happening. I can't wait to be able to openly share them all with all of you. I'm daring to dream and dream bigly. And so I'm going to Woody. And Woody, my husband, just texted me and said, hold on. He said, I'm home. Woody's coming on soon. The next time he asks, who loves you, baby, you can say my husband. Hi, Woody. How are you?
Well, tell your husband I love him because he has you. That's a smart man. Tell him I said that.
I will. I'm sure he's listening. He heard you.
That's all good because he's from South Philly. He's my man.
That's right. Even my mother-in-law called and said, oh, my God, if you ever drop dead Billy, he's coming.
Well, it's nice to know he has decent people to help him out.
That's right.
But anyway, let me just say this to you. You had me scared to death when you started that cough, and I wanted to come up there and hit you with an open hand.
Oh, my God, Woody, I was scared to death. I thought I was never going to stop coughing.
I said, oh, my God. I said, I hope everything's all right because you're a great friend and person to the whole city of Philadelphia. I said, but you're a greater friend to me. And Cody Anderson, that was my main man. I mean, this cat, I would call him. We would talk every day. It wasn't a day go by we didn't have something to say back and forth with each other. And it's just a beautiful thing. A friend can't be described. You know, a friend just is. Some are around you, some don't know you. Friends are simply born from God for the assistance of others, God's way of being there without being there. He always sends us friends. And I look at every person that I greet and talk to, and people that I don't greet and talk to, like the man was writing those books, he had some great information. So I can only imagine, you know, going around and conversating and doing. See, everybody's doing a show if they know how to communicate with people.
Yes.
You got to be able to talk. That's why I call my whole concept barbershop talk. Now, I don't go over. I'm not going to keep you on the line forever, but I just wanted you to know that the salt, you have to get the sea salt. I told you to get salt, and you must keep a bottle with you at all times of water and sea salt, warm water, so that you can gargle when that starts happening to you. Because, see, you talk so fast, I can only imagine when you got that mask on, you're talking the same way you're talking now because you can't change yourself.
Yeah.
So if you're talking like that with the mask on, you're taking in too much carbon dioxide along with your oxygen. Remember, oxygen is food. Carbon dioxide is your waste. And you don't eat where you know what, where you do the other thing at. So I'm just saying you gotta, when you got that on, just try to talk a little slower. You know, and try to stay away where you can get a little bit. Sometimes take that mask off and just get some fresh air. That's what you need in your lungs because you can't help it. You got a lot of energy, and you're ready to go, and you want to take care of everybody because you're everybody's mommy. See, so I was scared my mommy, something was happening. I was getting ready to run up to that daggone station. I didn't know what was going on. So I just want you to know that we all appreciate you. And I want you to keep up the good work. The last thing I'm going to tell you is that this Johnson & Johnson vaccine, it's the majority of women. Very high percentage of women are getting the blood clots from the Johnson & Johnson. And they said, we're not sure why. There's more women that have gotten that than men. But the point is that I'm not knocking anything, but I want you to be aware. They say watch as well as pray. So keep your eyes open and watch everything that's going on around you so you'll be able to make the proper decision because once you put the prayer in, God's going to take it the rest of the way.
Yes, sir. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice, Woody.
Well,
I know
it's always good hearing yours. And tell your husband, I ain't heard his yet, but I don't want to move out. I don't want to get in his way. Just tell him to enjoy himself. See you, sweetheart.
All right, Woody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, man. Bye-bye. Friendly Fred, are you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing?
I'm good.
And WURD family, I just want to say I'll paint the whole world the colors of a rainbow, and it'll be a spiritual rainbow, because there's a need and a reason to be happy, and happiness is the truth. And I can paint a picture of all the love I have inside. It will paint all of you and all of me. So take a paintbrush and paint a pretty smile each day, because loving is a blessing, and let the sun shine and smile your way, and your smile will be a joyful song they like, because your smile is a joyful song they like. And every time you smile, you bless a child. By God's grace, I smile, and you'll smile. Paint a pretty smile each day. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Friendly Fred. That is, I can't, Friendly Fred, are you still there? Friendly Fred, you know, can I just tell you how I enjoy your little ditties every day? I do.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
I enjoy them. Thank you, my brother.
You're
I'll
welcome.
talk to you soon, okay? All right, bye-bye. All right, Rick, I'm ending my show with you. What's up, sir?
I just wanted to know what you had to say about DMX and his passing.
So let me just tell you, I began doing some reading about DMX and listening to people talk about him. See, we like to paint people with dirty brushes, right? DMX had such a tortured childhood, and we are learning in his death that while he was worth $30 million, he was literally out here in abandoned homes, working with people, fighting his own demons. He couldn't sleep. He had a lot going on. He had his 15 children. He made sure all of the children's moms got along, and now people are talking about all the things that he's done, that he's opened doors for them and helped them. And that is why I said this when I was talking to Pastor Waller earlier. Young children, we tend to want to look at the problem when people get older and they're 15, 16, 17, 18. We see if we're living in a community and we see where young children are struggling, or we're in a school and we see that a young child is struggling, wrap your arms around them. Try to figure out how you can help. We spend so much time saying that it's not our problem, right? And so I think DMX right now is in a much better place. Based on everything that I'm listening to, Swiss Beats was on a conversation about him a couple of days ago. He's in a much better place. He struggled. His heart could not take it. 50 years, of him just constantly overdosing and trying to fight his demons and talking and trying to get help. He's been begging for help for years. So that's what I think about him. I don't have no judgment of DMX, right? Other than the fact that he has a great voice, and man, there's something, listen, when I'm in my space, I listen. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind. All right. Anything else you'd like to add, sir?
Let me say in closing that for the black middle class who values education and books and knowledge, I humiliated a next door neighbor by going off to Malcolm X Elementary in Washington, D.C., which was an experimental school, and then going off to private school while my friend and next door neighbor struggled with school. And I would just say to the black middle class who wants to help the poor, give them a book, give them a dictionary, and point them to literacy classes.
And give them love.
Give them love with reading.
If you do all of that without giving them love, though, Rick, they're going to think you're looking down on them. So give them love. Love is the first thing that they need. And then they'll embrace the book and wanting to read. Trust me on that. Okay, my brother?
Okay, sis.
All right. Talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye. All right. Looks like I got Brother Spread Love. I got 2 minutes. What's up, man?
God bless, Mama. Let me only try to take 1 minute, 30 seconds, but of course I got to say love and respect every time. Thank you for the show. Everything you do is banging. Got me hyped. God bless Brother Mike on the boards. You know we love the WURD family, every single one of us, and all of us suffering and in grief. May God bless up our relief. All those working to make it better, let's get it together. Free Mumia. Everyone incarcerated, we with you. Mama, can I get into this real quick?
Yes.
First and foremost, wish you the best during your time your way, Mama. May you enjoy it, all right?
Yes, sir.
And keep bringing us that love. That's what it's all about. Next, I'm going to ask that you interview Dr. Umar Johnson on your show. That's going to be banging, all right?
Oh.
All right, now wait, there's number 3.
I got issues with that one, but okay. I'll get him. I know the brother, and I know him well.
I know.
I know him well.
Mama. It's that time we about to do it.
Okay.
And now listen, I would like that you bring Shamari, Brother Shamari, with the young men he brings on his show, with the children you bring on their show. Let's have a meeting of the minds.
Yes. Brother Shamari, I told Brother Shamari this one day, because he and I sat on a couple of committees together. He is one of the smartest men I have ever met in my life. I swore he blushed when I told him, but he is super smart. Super smart. And I'm a sapiosexual, so super smart people make my head spin round and round and round. And Brother Shamari, Eric Grimes, as you may not all know him, one of the smartest people I know. And he probably, somebody's going to tell him this now. He's going to be like, oh, Lord, no, she didn't. But he is. He absolutely is. So, yes, I will make sure we pull together the children and some of the young brothers that he talks to. All right? God bless, man.
For Brother Rick.
Yeah.
Brother Rick, I hope you listened. I've been trying to get this message to you. BrandNewTube.com. BrandNewTube.com. You'll see what I'm saying. Especially look up Dr. Vernon Coleman.
He got videos on there, but they got other doctors. You'll see all of that, buddy. You know what I'm talking about. And Mama, say the best for last. You know, I would love for you to bring some Rasta up on the show for the people. Selassie Aja. Rastafari.
All right. Ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. Bye, brother. Spread love. Michael, I'm going to get you. Goodbye. All right, listen. Coming up next is Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. On Thursday, we are celebrating the Jackie Robinson Day. Did I say Jack? Jackie Robinson Day. I've got my Jackie Robinson t-shirt, my number 42. I don't usually wear t-shirts on this show because mother likes to get dressed up. It's just a thing. It's a Jamaican thing in me. But Charles Ellison and I are going to be the hosts of the Jackie Robinson Day on Thursday, April 15th from 1 to 4 p.m. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.